WCHA, college hockey's most prestigious hockey conference. Today's tournament championship is presented by Fox 29, KITN TV, and the WCHA network, including Prime Sports, HSE, PASS, the New England Sports Channel, the Sunshine Network, Sports South, KTHI TV, WDIO TV, the Wisconsin Television Network, and worldwide coverage on the U.S. military bases through the Armed Forces Television Network.
The Civic Center in St. Paul, Minnesota, the home of the WCHA playoff championship game between the Golden Gophers from the University of Minnesota and the Wildcats from Northern Michigan University. Hello again, everybody. Along with Wally Shaver, this is Frank Mazzacco. To those of you in this country and those of you worldwide, welcome to some of the most exciting college hockey entertainment you will see anywhere. The NCAA tournament seedings were announced a little bit earlier today, Wally. Both of these teams were included. That's no surprise. Still, it should not have a bearing on this hockey game. Two great teams will be lined up.
Well, some people might imply that there's no meaning for it, no emotion for the players, but there still is one league trophy to be decided, and that will be done tonight.
An excellent team, Northern Michigan, and a Gopher team needing to prove it can win here in St. Paul. We'll be back right after this.
This is a golfer. He'll play anywhere. Golf Digest magazine helps his game anywhere he plays with instructional articles from top pros. So wherever you play, play better with Golf Digest.
Get a full year of Golf Digest for $19.77. Call 800-453-4300 now and get our free half-hour instructional video with your paid subscription. Call 800-453-4300 now.
Which car has the best long-lasting protection against rust when scratched? Chevy Lumina, Ford Taurus, Honda Accord, or Mercedes-Benz? In these corrosion chambers, 30 days equals 2 years. Chevy Lumina's two-sided galvanized steel is unsurpassed in corrosion protection. With Ford, Honda, and Mercedes, sooner or later, you get this. By only scratching the surface, you can see why more people are winning with the heartbeat of America.
That's today's Chevrolet.
Right, now pay attention. Everyday Highland is, shall we say, monitoring the competition. Or to be more precise, we're monitoring their prices. So, if they should attempt to go lower on any item, we'll know it straight away. And we'll go even lower still. Now you may ask, is it right to engage in all this covert activity just to save you more money? Of course it is.
Highland, the store that's impossible to beat.
In this manner yesterday afternoon, the Gophers beat Wisconsin by a score of 3-2 in the first semifinal, and the Wildcats defeated North Dakota resoundingly 8-4 here at the Civic Center last night. Two excellent teams getting lined up for this one, and when you take a look at the Northern Michigan lineup, you have to look at a key player, and the player who was the most valuable player in the league, Scott Beatty.
Scott Beatty is a dangerous player anytime he is on the ice. He's a member of that Bash line. He is a centerman with Kevin Scott on the left and Jim Hiller on the right. They have 51 goals this year in 42 games as a unit. They are scary dangerous.
Now the Gophers boast of balanced scoring across their lines, but this is the man who's going to have to face that potent Northern Michigan offense, goaltender Jeff Stolp.
He was overlooked as a first or a second WCHA All-Star candidate, but he put together the best goals against average in the league this year. Jeff Stolp is going to have some snipers shooting at him all evening long. I think he can be up to the task, though.
The site of this game, downtown St. Paul, is probably only less than 10 miles away from Minnesota's home rink, Mariucci Arena. until last night, this has not been a very favorable place for the Gophers to play. They have had some tough success in championship games here.
Well, they have. Coming in, they had never beaten Wisconsin in this building until yesterday afternoon. And overall, the record in the 4 years of the tournament is only 3 wins and 4 losses. So I think more than anything else, they want to make it to 500 tonight and win the league championship, which they have not yet been able to do in the playoffs.
Northern Michigan team is a team that won first place in the league by 5 points over Minnesota. They're a very deep team, very solid team, and a slightly older team. On average, they are 1 year older than the Golden Gophers, who boast of 5 freshmen in their lineup. Now let's go to public address announcer Dick Stanford.
Before joining our game in action this evening, we'd like to welcome a large television network, which includes the Armed Forces Television Network. This game is being brought to our servicemen and women all over the world. Hello from St. Paul, Minnesota and the Civic Center. And ladies and gentlemen, presenting the colors this evening is the Minnesota Army National Guard Headquarters, 34th Infantry Division Artillery, located in Brooklyn Park, Minnesota. Our national anthem tonight will be sung by Rosie Gaines from Prince's new band, the New Power Generation. Let's welcome Rosie Gaines.
Oh, say, can you see by the dawn's early light what so proudly we held at the twilight's last gleaming, whose broad stripes and bright stars through the perilous fights are the ramparts we watch, were so gallantly streaming, and the rocket's red glare, the bombs bursting in air, gave proof through the night that our flag was still there. Oh, say does that star-spangled banner yet wave for the land of the free and the home of the brave?
Mighty powerful stuff, our national anthem from Rosie Gaines at what will soon be a near-capacity house here at the Civic Center in St. Paul. Again, we pass on a welcome to all of you watching on the Armed Forces Television Network, as well as the Diplomatic Channel. The color guard has left the rink here, and the teams will go into their last races around the rink to get limbered up.
That is head coach Doug Woog of the University of Minnesota. He has been a regular here in the WCHA playoff tournament for 6 consecutive years now. And that is Rick Comley, just last night, or 2 nights ago, named the WCHA Coach of the Year. Last year it was Doug Woog. Let's go downstairs and meet Jim Rich.
Thanks very much, Frank and Wally. I'll keep tabs on what things are going on down here at ice level. And I tell you, this has to be one of the most balanced championship games in league history. These 2 teams met during the regular season 4 times. Each team won 1 game at home and then tied the other. So their record is 1-1-2. And I was talking with Scott Beatty beforehand, and he said this has to be the best team that they have played all year long. He's really looking forward to this hockey game tonight. Frank?
All right, Jim, thanks very much. You keep your feet moving down there, and we'll come to you often during tonight's game.
Jeff Stolp will be getting the starting assignment for the Minnesota Golden Gophers. He has a very good season going in his favor. 17 wins against 5 losses and 3 ties. A 2.71 goals against average, which was tops in the WCHA regular season. Billy Pye was named #1 goaltender in the league and got the first team All-Star honors. He will be defending the goal, our right-hand side. He has a 27 win, 3 loss, and 4 tie record, and a sparkling 2.70 goals against average. These two goalies are hot. They're ready. We're at center ice, and for the first period play-by-play, here is Frank Mazzacco.
Thanks very much, Wally Shaver. Our referee, Greg Shepard, has dropped the puck to begin play, and soon after the face-off, just 8 seconds, the puck is cleared up over the glass. And there's a look at the man they affectionately call Shep.
Greg Shepard out of St. Paul, Minnesota. Tom Goddard and Mike Talk are the linesmen working the game tonight. It's a big assignment for these guys to get the honor of working the championship game.
Platt, Olam, Jernander up front for Minnesota. Ed Ward, Dallas Drake, Tony Szabo up front for the Wildcats from Northern Michigan. We're underway. Here's Dean Antos going after the puck. He flips it out at center, but it's turned right back around. And the first man to get it is Brad Warenka, and a delayed offside called here against Minnesota.
That's a look at high-scoring forward Trent Klatt for Minnesota. He's picked up 5 goals and 17 assists in his last 15 games. Trent has had a very successful year and got to represent the United States in the World Junior Hockey Championships this past December.
That was sort of a springboard for Trent Klatt. He came back after that competitive level, which is probably a notch or two above college, and has really excelled for Minnesota in the second half of the season, as has his line mate Ken Jernander. We're still in the opening minute of play of this hockey game, no score. Freshman Jeff Nielsen flips it out to center ice, and senior Grant Bischoff dumps it in. Bill Pye leaves it back behind the net, and the Wildcats start to move it ahead. To center ice, it's Ed Ward to slip it to the Minnesota line, but that's broken up. And Craig Johnson drops it back into his own end to Tom Peterson. Over to Sean Fabian. Long lead as you hear them crying out, behind, behind. That means someone's behind you. Watch out for that pass. Now Peterson in the corner. Flips it up to Craig Johnson. The relay pass for Corey Leyland goes through everybody. And in a very tight checking 1 minute and 12 seconds, we'll go back on an icing call.
And we can expect as much, too, because both these teams play a very defensive-minded game. That's Rick Comley, the coach of the Wildcats, whose team put together the best goals against average on the season in the WCHA, allowing a stingy 2.8 goals against. But also, Rick has some firepower to boot. His team is averaging almost 6 goals a game.
That's hot stuff.
You bet it is.
Now Jason Miller, who scored the game-winning goal last night, gets ready for this face-off for Minnesota. There's Jason. That goal was shorthanded. He is facing off against Scott Beatty. Scott Beatty, an 80-point player from Kimberley, British Columbia. And from the face-off, the Gophers work it to center. Here's Bischoff bringing it in. Gets open and fires, and Pye makes the save, then scrambles for the rebound. First test, and it turned out to be a big one.
One thing to note about Billy Pye, Jason Miller has 2 forwards breaking ahead of him. He slows up, and he likes to take the shot. But look where Bill Pye is after the shot is made. Well out of that net. And you'll get a good angle of where he is in relation to his goal right now. He's well beyond the goal crease. He's a good 15 feet out. Billy Pye likes to challenge. You're going to see the Gopher wingers come down and try and get in behind him and watch for some tip-ins there as Minnesota tries to work it down low.
Not only does he challenge the shooter, he cuts down the angle, but the vulnerability that Wally mentioned is the flanks, trying to get people in around on the side of him. Here's an offside pass at the Minnesota line, and we'll come back to center for the face-off.
Well, he's good technically, and that's why the Gopher players you're going to see try to go down low. That is Kevin Scott, senior out of Kimberley, British Columbia, 8th in the league in points. Just an awesome scoring machine, this Northern Michigan club right now. 5 players finished in the top 10 scorers in the WCHA, 7 players in the top 20. The best Minnesota could do as the second best team in the league was putting 2 players in the top 20, both of those in the last half of that group.
Now for the Wildcats, Ed Ward, Dallas Drake, and Dean Antos making a line. A bit of a switch in the line that we were given originally tonight. From center, Ed Ward is there to dump it in. And again, it may be a switch in the line, but with Northern Michigan, it might have little significance because they are so deep. Now here's Antos sending it toward the net. That's broken up. And the Gophers relay it to center. John Brill left it there, and then it's dumped in by Mike Muller. Gophers begin a line change on the go. Drake at center is turned away by Ken Jernander. Drake is knocked down by Klatt. It's rattled ahead by Peterson. Klatt took the hit. Peterson has the puck. He fires, and it goes up the outside of the net. Now Brad Warenka got a block on the far side, but no interference is called. And the Wildcats get it to center. A little pick and roll on the far side of the rink. And icing here against Northern Michigan.
Action has picked up a little bit now, Frank, as we have gotten through the jitters of getting each line out on the ice and just get into the flow of the game. Both of these clubs are going to go with 4 lines tonight. Very skilled players on both teams. This is Doug Zamolik, #1 draft choice by the Minnesota North Stars 2 years ago, and he's tangling a little bit up behind the goal with Dallas Drake of Northern Michigan. One thing we should point out that this is really Team Minnesota. All players on the University of Minnesota team are born and raised in the state of Minnesota, whereas Northern Michigan's lineup has a sprinkling of Americans, but predominantly Canadian-oriented.
That big banner that hangs at the Gophers' home rink, Mariucci Arena, reads Minnesota's Pride on Ice. Now they jostle for position here on this face-off. Draw to no one yet from the scramble. It's finally controlled by the Wildcats. Far point, Tom Peterson dumps it in. Lou Malone is there. He was checked. Now the Wildcats working ahead for Plandowski. Blocked at the line by Fabian. He sends it right in. And a glove catch by Bill Pye. Then he was knocked sprawling. But still a nothing hockey game in St. Paul.
Hello, I'm Governor Tommy.
So much has gone into the design of Soloflex. Years of refinement, the finest materials, the strongest, most dependable steel, the sleekest, most efficient form, building in value at every step of design and construction. We know those of you who use Soloflex take pride in your bodies. And at Soloflex, we take pride in knowing that. For a free brochure, call anytime.
Officially only 2 shots on goal, both taken by Minnesota. Here's Scott Beatty playing it up, or at least Kevin Scott playing it out at center. Broken up there, but Scott takes it away, and he tries to weave his way in. Now Craig Johnson, the freshman center for the Gophers, played it to the far side. They get a favorable bounce off the boards. Bischoff in a 2-on-1 rush, tried to split through to the fence. The puck gets through, but he was checked off the play. Now Jim Hiller on the far side. Wildcats have their big gun line. It's called the Bash line with Beatty, Scott, and Hiller up front. Now Travis Richards' pass is deflected and grabbed by Beatty, then dumped into the near corner of the Gopher end. Scott tried to take it, but it was taken right away from him, and a nice play by Luke Johnson to Bischoff at center, and Grant Bischoff flips it in. Brad Warenka has it. Now to center ice. Joe Frederick got it to the red center line, but Ben Hankinson slides it right back in. And a loose puck on the near board, still in the zone as the checking gets rather physical. Hankinson roughing it up with Warenka, and an icing call here against Northern Michigan.
Oh, Ben Hankinson, the big tough guy from Minnesota, can sure stir things up. And when he gets on track and comes out and pops a few people, watch out. He took care of Brad Warenka, voted as a WCHA Student Athlete of the Year, and that's Brad Warenka, #5. He goes down not once, not twice. There's #2. Let's see it one more time, Benny. Show #5 what you really think of him.
Here's Warenka behind the net. Brad Warenka is no slouch.
No.
You were looking at 2 excellent hockey players right there. Chris McAlpine at center for Minnesota. Mark Bouffet intercepts his pass, then dumps it in. Here's Jeff Stope playing the puck for the first time around the corner. Doug Smolik laid it ahead for Corey Leyland. The pass was behind Bischoff, and it rolls to the Wildcats at center. Now McDonald in his own end, trying to play it ahead. It's brought in by Bouffet. The first shot and a pad save by Jeff Stope. Rebound cleared right back out at center. Oh, big collision again. Warenka is hit by Ben Hankinson. Now Smolik has it.
And is Benny happy? He goes to the bench. He gives it the old one-handed arm pump. He's pretty happy, and his teammates like the concept that is being established here.
We got a stoppage on a penalty, but let's take a look at the action.
Chris McAlpine comes in and steps into Joe Frederick pretty solidly here. Frederick had his arms up, and McAlpine just played right on through him, and then throws a punch right back, and the referee, Greg Shepard, isn't taking any guff. He's sending both players off for roughing minors. Buffet come in, and a good opportunity. He was cutting to the right, but you see he shot to the left, trying to catch Stolp moving too far to his left. Didn't work. A good pad save for Jeff Stolp. So Frederick goes off along with Chris McAlpine, a rugged freshman defenseman for the University of Minnesota. And each team will now skate shorthanded by one player for the next 2 minutes. I like 4-on-4 hockey, and with two good skating teams like we have out here, it could be some fun.
We have a lot of action right now. 2 forwards, 2 defensemen aside. Penalties called at 4:42. We're assuming roughing minors each. And a high stick on McAlpine, actually, and a rough on Frederick. 0-0 the score. Still in the first period. This is the championship game of the WCHA playoffs. Larry Olaf leads it ahead for the Gophers. Now Jernander with a hopping puck skipped away from him. Otherwise, he had a breakaway.
Kenny Jernander has such good speed, and he's had an exceptional second half of the season for Minnesota. He's picked up 13 goals in the last 15 games after a rather slow start, coming off a 30-goal-plus season last year. And the boy out of Greenway of Coleraine in northern Minnesota just had it bounce the wrong way for him. Some of the players have complained about the ice in here, saying it's a little bit soft and a little bit edgy, which creates extra bounces of the puck. And we kind of noticed it right there as it flipped over Kenny's stick.
Now again, a lead pass for Bischoff is too far, and it's icing against Minnesota, so we'll go back on the other end. 1:20 left on those minor penalties. 0-0 the score.
Interesting trend we're seeing by Minnesota, Frank. They seem to be wanting to send that floater up the boards and try that long, breakaway pass and just try to blow around the Northern Michigan defense. We'll have to see if they're going to keep with that philosophy throughout the game.
Boog was upset about that fact that there was an icing call. He's whistling at the linesman now, claiming that there was some interference at center ice which prevented Bischoff from getting to the puck. He's, of course, not arguing this call, but the next one. Now out at center ice, here's Brad Warenka playing it across to Garrett McDonald. Now McDonald playing it deep into the corner. Puck comes loose on the boards to Tom Peterson. He fires it across, looking for Greg Johnson. Craig Johnson got it in. Bischoff breaking in, gets the shot off. A great play by Bischoff and a nice save by Pye. At the line, Smolik dumping it in. Nielsen has it for Minnesota. Now Bischoff in the corner. Swept away by McDonald, and it rolls back to center. Gophers will regroup. A half minute on the penalties to McAlpine and to Frederick. Nielsen goes after it. Pye, first man of the puck, rattles it right back out at center. A check thrown by Richards prevents a Northern Michigan rush up ice. Now Luke Johnson's pass too far. Lou Malone turns it right back. Pretty wide open stuff here, 4-on-4. Good defensive play by Luke Johnson to hold off McDonald. Now at the line, Sukharov shoots it across. Malone is in deep shooting. That hits Stolp in the face mask. And he comes up shaking his head, but he's all right. A week ago, Jeff Stolp took a shot to the head and received a 6-inch cut at the hairline. But he looks okay right now. Here's Lou Malone. Lou, go! Throwing it back across as we come up at the 7-minute mark of the period. At center ice, Tony Szabo was checked. Here's Ben Hankinson trying to weave his way through. Leyland fires! He gets a piece of it. Hankinson jumps on the rebound, but he's tied up by Malone, and the loose puck hauled out of there by Phil Sukharov to center. The defenseman leading the rush. Sukharov slows up play, then drops it to the near boards as the penalties expire. Drake dumping it in deep. And in the corner, they scramble for it. Finally, Smolik ahead to Ben Hankinson. Hankinson brings it in there onside, but the loose puck is cleared right back out. Now Drake for Northern Michigan. That's rattled away as McAlpine sent a thundering check into Ed Ward. And the Gophers again pass it, but errantly, and it winds up in an icing call. 0-0 to score.
There are 4 absolutes that'll help you get the most out of your ability as a pitcher. Balance, direction, weight transfer, and deception. Each one of these 4 absolutes are discussed in length in a 1-hour video called Pitching Absolutes by me, Tom House. And here's how to order it.
Call 1-800-937-3366. Tom House, Pitching Absolutes.
Little more offensive punch in the early going of this hockey game as Billy Pye early on was out challenging, but the Gophers getting a little bit deeper and forcing him back in the net. There's a shot coming, looks like it was off target. Nonetheless, Billy Pye seeing some action at his end of the rink.
Now the face-off to the right of Jeff Stope. We get ready, and here's Sean Fabian back behind the net. Played it to Ken Jernander. Now to Tom Peterson for the Gophers. Peterson hits the line. He's jammed up on the wall, and it slides back at center ice. Here's Fabian again. And now Larry Olam, the leading scorer for Minnesota. Olam roughed up in his own end by Jim Hiller. At center ice, it's loose. Klatt goes after it. Now grabbed by Olam, who gets it in. Battles, they find Klatt, who centers it. And that's knocked away by Hiller. Centered in front for Peterson. A backhand goes off a skate. Now Jernander has the puck. Takes it to the far corner. Lots of traffic in front. And it's swept away and cleared out by Northern Michigan. A good defensive play by the center, Scott Beatty.
In the early going of this game, Frank, I think it's apparent that the Gophers of Minnesota seem to want the game a little bit more than the Northern Michigan Wildcats do. Minnesota has come out, they have out-hit them, and they have controlled the play so far in the hockey game. That doesn't mean things can't change, because in yesterday's semifinal game, Northern Michigan fell behind North Dakota 4-2 and needed 6 straight goals in the last half of the game to pull it out of the bag.
Likewise, the Gophers opened up a 3-0 lead against Wisconsin and then struggled to hang on as Wisconsin scored 2, but the rally fell short in the 3rd period. So things can change. Right now, it's still 0-0. Centered in front by Scott Bell. A loose puck is poked at by Pye, and finally the Wildcats clear it to the boards and then out.
They had some good defensive coverage in their own zone, too, in front of the net.
Now Brill was checked at the line, lost the puck, and then Luke Johnson tried to dump it in, but flipped it up over the glass. And I'll tell you, the Gophers' pressure around that net is intense. They're flooding the slots.
And here's the action as Bell goes in behind. But watch how Northern Michigan players cover up real well. The Minnesota players are all tied up. They can't seem to get loose and get to the puck. Good defensive abilities by Northern Michigan to make sure they play their man and keep them away from the puck. This gives you a good example from this angle. You see 2 Minnesota players in your screen. There's nothing they can do. They're well covered.
Coming up on the halfway point of period number 1, still no score. Puck deflected at center ice, goes high in the air and comes right back down. Mike Muller had it, finds John Brill, who gets it in, and Phil Sukharov cleared it to the line, but not out. Richards dumps it in, and it dribbles wide of the net. Now Sukharov has it. Looking for Joe Frederick. His pass hits the skate of Luke Johnson. Bell waves at it, and Malone clears it out to Mark Buffet at center. He's checked off the puck by Richards. Now Luke Johnson has to go after a loose puck in his own end as Frederick broke that one up. Joe Frederick had 2 assists yesterday playing against the Wisconsin Badgers. Now Sukharov at center. Throws it ahead to the Minnesota line. Buffet breaks in after it, centers it, it goes right through. Now far point, long hard shot kicked away by Stope on a drive by Jeff Simpson. Sukharov again for the Wildcats, flips it into Minnesota territory. Stope has to be careful, but quickly played it over to Luke Johnson. Now to center ice, it's off a skate, hops to the near boards, and Bischoff rattles one in on Bill Pye. He plays it away from the onrushing Craig Johnson. Now Bischoff dumps it back into the corner for Johnson. Again, he's tied up on the boards. Bischoff tried it free. McAlpine shoots, and Pye is right there to smother it. Well, one of the coaches in the WCHA is Craig Dahl. He's a rookie coach, and right now he's with Jim Rich.
Thanks very much. And Craig, your team played both these teams, obviously, since you're in the WCHA, but who has an advantage from what you've seen in your eyes?
Well, I think that it's a very, very closely contested. Right now they're feeling each other out, and Northern has some great snipers. You know, they score very, very well. Minnesota has great depth, but it's going to come down to goaltending, whichever goaltender plays the best.
Do you see this game as a high-scoring affair then, or do you think these two goaltenders can keep it close?
I don't think it'll be very high. I think it'll be 5-4, 4-3, something like that. It should be a very close game because they're both very even.
Okay, Craig, let's go back upstairs. Frank?
Thanks, Jim. Here's Grant Bischoff racing in. His shot was deflected and sails right up out of play. St. Cloud State had a very favorable showing this year, and they're first in the WCHA. Surprised North Dakota a couple times in the playoffs, not with 2 wins, but a win and a real scare.
Well, it was 1-1 going into that last game of the best of 3, and St. Cloud State had a 4-0 lead. North Dakota roared back to win it 7-4, but were shocked in the process. St. Cloud, though, getting eliminated, and North Dakota losing yesterday, putting these two teams into the championship game here tonight.
The third place game, by the way, was played this afternoon between Wisconsin and North Dakota. And North Dakota, as Wally mentioned, the 4th place team in regular season, won it 5-2. 5 different goal scorers for North Dakota in that one. Now from behind the net, the Wildcats start to move the puck up ice. It's jammed up on the far board. Here's Hiller back to pick it up. Now Jason Miller goes after it, and it's swatted away by Pye. Now Hiller playing it ahead to Beattie, looking for Kevin Scott. That fails to click, and Fabian has it at center, and then he will dump it back in for Minnesota. Just to let you know, our referee tonight, Greg Shepard, is wearing a wireless microphone. If need be, we can go to him to find out some comments on questions or controversies. Here we have an offside, and it's ruled intentional offside against Minnesota. Fans don't like it here. There's a look at Shepard, who is silent right now, apparently.
And he feels confident that his linesman made the right call, so we'll spot the faceoff all the way back into the Minnesota zone. And it's good that Greg Shepard got this game. The 4 officials, as we pointed out earlier, assigned to work this tournament, are approved by the league and its coaches as the best to work these games, and they get the honorable assignment of championship games.
0-0 the score. At center ice. Puck rolls loose at the Minnesota line. Tipped ahead, but blocked. Klatt sweeps it ahead. Here's Olam breaking in after it. Larry Olam leads Minnesota with 48 points. Far below the 80 points of Scott Beattie. It's an incredible difference. Now behind the net, Stoke plays it around. Richards takes a clobber in the corner, and Gerlander gets the puck now to Luke Johnson. Ahead to center for Trent Klatt. He'll track it down in the corner. Klatt trying to get in around Sukharov. Hangs on to the puck. Centers it for Gerlander, who takes it away. Gerlander pops it in front. It's loose in the slot. Then batted away by the defenseman Shayak. Now a shot rolls right through the goal crease. And at the circle it comes loose. At the blue line it's blocked by Johnson. He shoots. That's knocked down in front. The Gophers are throwing everything they've got at Bill Pye right now. They go off on a line change, and the fans appreciate the play. Malone's pass nearly picked off as Mike Muller went diving in after it. Here's Olam. He's brought down. Play goes on, and the Wildcats ice it to relieve the pressure. Partisan crowd is happy, and we'll be right back.
It started here, in a country where tradition's still a part of brewing, and beer's still a part of tradition, where old friends are thought the best friends, and old ways often the best ways, including the way beer is brewed, the way one beer in America still is brewed today. A beer started here more than 200 years ago. Stroh's, fire brewed, family brewed. Some things never change. Some things never should.
Northern Michigan University, it's still locked up in a scoreless game, but the Gophers have certainly had their opportunities here in this first period. Michigan is trying to clear it out of their zone, but the Gophers getting a gimme, fire from the point, and you see it barely trickle wide after going off of goaltender Bill Pye. Great pressure by Minnesota, and the positive thing is they're getting contribution from all 4 lines.
Right now, a line that has 1 sophomore and 2 freshmen up there. The freshmen are right now mucking for the puck. This is Mike Muller to go after it. Scott Bell. Now John Brill, the sophomore on the line, has it. He drops it back. Here's Muller to pick it up, but the goal has come loose as Bell really likes to stick his nose right into things, and he buried that one nearly in Bill Pye. The goal came loose.
Well, that's how the game has changed over the years with the invention of magnets or just the pins to hold the net in place rather than pipes. Players now crash to the net. They're not afraid to get into the goal crease area and really make things happen. You want to get in close, but because of that, the net becomes dislodged a lot easier, but it's certainly better than the alternative of injured players going off a stationary net.
That was Garrett McDonald pushing Scott Bell into the crossbar on that one. And now we get ready for a face-off with 7 minutes left in the first period. In this championship game, 0-0 the score.
Billy Pye might have...
Come here, Pye!
Greg Shepard, you hear. Greg Shepard telling him that he can't go to the bench because he's injured. He's got to wait for the trainer to come to him. And the trainer is looking at Bill Pye right now. Well, maybe it is just an equipment problem.
Yeah, there's padding down the sides in his pants. Actually, goaltenders' pants have a lot more padding in it than those of the forwards or the defensemen, and it's a lot more around on the sides because they're falling and rolling around a lot.
I know.
And they're just checking. Maybe there's a piece of padding that did come loose inside his pants, so that's what they're trying to do is put that pad back into place.
Seemed to be looking on the left leg, and it might have been that he got kicked there. Let's take a look.
Now watch, you see the players converging in front. Oh yeah, there's a skate that comes up, and he hits him in the behind.
And you heard one of the players saying, no, I pushed him, and that was probably McDonald saying, I pushed Bell, and Bell's skate came up, and that's what clipped Pye, but he's all right. 0-0 the score. We're getting ready for the face-off. Craig Johnson wins the draw. Jeff Nielsen plays it ahead. Now Grant Bischoff has it. This Minnesota line has one senior and two sophomores on it. Bischoff, the senior. And as they scramble for it, boy, that's intense work along the boards. It may look playful, but you're using a lot of leg power to not only stay up, but try to move that puck along. Here's Nielsen back behind the net trap. And the loose puck gathered in by the Wildcats. Brad Warenka playing it ahead to Daryl Plandowski. And he flips it all the way down. Stoltz left it there, and then it's Craig Johnson to clear it around. Johnson goes to get it himself, gets a return pass, and then fires one up on the open right wing. Now it's dumped ahead by Carpenter, and Carpenter is really plastered at center ice. Not once, but twice he was hit hard. Smolik goes after the loose puck. Being chased on the play by Jim Hiller. Now Smolik has to go back for it again. At the blue line, Scott stands on it. A 3-on-2 Gopher rush. Here's Leyland, left wing fired. Stick saved by Pye, the rebound. And that's batted away to the corner. Now Carpenter behind the net. Flips it up on the far side, and Tom Peterson drives a penetrating check into Frederick. Hankinson trying to get it free and hits the referee. Peterson keeps it alive. Out of the corner, Leyland. And it's played back to the blue line. Frederick intercepts, and again, to relieve the pressure, the Wildcats ice the puck.
This may be a neutral site, but as a partisan University of Minnesota crowd on hand wanting to see the Gophers win their first ever WCHA championship. Tom Peterson, number 7 from Minnesota, leaves his skates and just clobbers Joe Frederick. Peterson was telling us before the game that he was wondering if he was going to be able to do any body hitting tonight because he's playing with a very sore ankle. And there's a pop by Doug Smolik on a Northern Michigan player. And here's the Gophers breaking out 3-on-2. And that can quite often be the difference in this game, is just getting the right kind of break. Gophers came down, fired a good shot on goal, but the defense did clear the rebound before Pye had to worry about it.
Yeah, good thing, because they gave up a pretty juicy rebound right there.
And that's one thing that happens with goaltenders who really come out and cut down the angle like that. It can lead to rebounds coming off of them.
Yeah, we got to get some snow out here. I can let you guys skate on this stuff.
That's a big chunk coming out. That ice is only about 3/4 of an inch thick. And that was where that big collision was.
That's right.
What happened, a skate heel probably came down and really dug and gouged out the ice. So they're going to bring out a bucket of snow.
Yeah, we could tell you passed it too, didn't you? No, I didn't. It's your stick.
Jeez, is that a gash or what?
It's also a pretty good rapport that Greg Shepard is building up there with the players. And that is an important part of that job, is to communicate, be able to talk to those guys. But boy, look at that. Well, on Saturday night, the nominees, the 10 nominees for this year's Hobey Baker Award, were named here in St. Paul, and they include Northern Michigan's Scott Beatty.
Peter Saviglia out of the University of Harvard. Harvard down a little bit in strength this year, but this guy's an awesome player. Jim Dowd, many say, will win the trophy. It's still undecided, but he's had an outstanding year in leading Lake Superior to the #1 ranking in the country.
Here's a guy who's also got to be high in the running, and that's David Emma.
And he's a repeat candidate from last year's Hobey Baker finalists as well. Denny Felsner, many say, is one of the premier defensemen in the country. Michigan has turned the program around. They've got a very young team and are seeded very high for NCAA competition. We've had a chance to see Greg Johnson in the tournament here. He's a draft choice of Philadelphia Flyers. Outstanding playmaker and second in the league in scoring. Joe Juneau out of RPI helped the resurgence on that club, even though RPI was down a little bit this year. Juneau, a definite leader. Sean McEachern, another member out of Hockey East, where there's 3 super strong clubs: Boston College, Boston University, and Maine, and all outstanding. Brad Roenka, not the MVP of this league, but first team All-Star as a defenseman. We've seen Brad here in tonight's game being roughed up a little bit by Ben Hankinson. And finally, out of the University of Maine, Jean-Yves Roy. Some outstanding players in that league this year. Hockey East has a lot of young players, too. A lot of these candidates are underclassmen.
The Hobey Baker Award is presented by the Decathlon Club, which is based here in the Twin Cities. And it is awarded annually to the best college hockey player in the country. Greg Shepard has passed on word to the players to kind of stay away from the boards. Problem is that the ice here at the Civic Center has been only down for about a week and a day, and it's still a little bit brittle, if you might say, or fresh along the edges, where the impact of the board might jar the ice loose right at the very base of the wall. Now, of course, how do you tell hockey players not to throw checks?
Yeah, stay away from the boards, right.
I'm not sure.
I got a guy lined up, and I'm going to avoid him?
To save the ice? No, I don't think so, but it's a good try, Shep. We'll see what they do. Here's Scott to center, and it hits his skate. Now Trent Platt goes after it, battles to get around Malone, gets open and centers it, but a good play by Sukharov to break it up. Then Klatt is taken to the wall by Jim Hiller. A centering pass is broken up, and behind the net, it's controlled by Scott Beatty. Beatty, who will be one of our guests in the intermission, is not a big man at just 5'7" and 164 pounds, but that's a lot of points per pound he gets.
Phil Sukharov just made a fantastic defensive play. There was a wide open Gopher out in front on the 2-on-1. He's trying to keep up with Trent Klatt. Now watch. Actually, the defenseman in a play like this wants to watch for the pass going across. He actually played a little more towards the shooter, the guy with the puck, when he shouldn't have. Leave that guy for the goaltender, but he was committed, and as he turned around, he was able to block it enough to prevent it from going through.
Now to center ice, the Wildcats tip it to the Minnesota line. Here's Sean Fabian to knock it out, and it's dumped right back in by Garrett McDonald, and Northern Michigan is ruled to be offside intentionally. So they're going to face it off all the way back in their own end.
Garrett McDonald is just a freshman on this team, coming out of Burnaby, British Columbia, but he's paired up with Brad Roenka, the senior and first-team All-Star. So that's a real good way to get an education when you're paired up with the best defenseman in the league.
From the draw, no one has control. No one has scored yet either as Bell centers it. 0-0 hockey game. A bullet by Peterson, a loose puck in the slot, and it dribbles to the corner. And now a whistle. Greg Shepard calling the play. We might have had a player in the crease. We might have had a Minnesota player in the crease, but I'm not sure.
And that may be the call, Frank, and I'm not so sure.
I didn't touch that one.
As if that puck didn't hit the Minnesota player in the crease and not the goaltender, Bill Pye. And actually, the net has come loose. Let's watch it one more time as the puck comes back from the point position. The shot goes towards the net. Pye is right out, and it does hit traffic in behind Bill Pye and almost pops into the net. So it missed him totally. It's a floater coming in. And the player, Minnesota, Scott Bell, was not in the crease, but the net did come loose, and that's why the stoppage.
4 minutes left, first period, no score. Brad Wawrinka being chased by Bell. Now Sean Fabian pitching in to try to keep the puck in the zone, but it's cleared all the way down. Back to the line, Tony Szabo has it. Their fleet-footed freshman, and a penalty coming up. A slashing call back behind the play, and Tom Peterson looks a bit dismayed, but I'm still not sure who it's on.
We got 21 dark slash.
21 dark slash. Pretty clear there. That's Mike Muller. Mike Muller, the freshman, going off.
Mike Muller has had a different kind of year. He came in as a highly touted high school player this season to the University of Minnesota and recruited as a defenseman, but he has spent most of the season as a forward. And here he is, number 21. He's a big guy, and he really lays the lumber on Dallas Drake. So the slashing penalty to Muller will put Minnesota shorthanded for the first time in the hockey game tonight. And that could be a dangerous situation against Northern Michigan because the Wildcats have the second best power play unit in the league. They've provided a 25% efficiency over the course of the season, but it's been down a little bit over the last 7 games, down around the 20% level. But with all the snipers on this team, it's still going to be dangerous anytime.
A few more patches being fixed up, this time behind the Minnesota net, and Greg Shepard is ready to get this face-off underway. Face-off will be to the right of Stolp. 3:49 to go in the period. Draw, here's Wawrinka, slides it across, gets a return pass. Wawrinka to Beatty, now they dump it in, but it's broken up by Smolik. Loose to Craig Johnson, now controlled by the Gophers. Smolik to the Northern Michigan line, and Grant Bischoff was pushed inside the zone, and it's called offside.
Actually, Bish was trying to tie up Brad Wawrinka at the blue line so it could help spring his forward loose down the left side. Didn't quite work because he put himself offside. That's the numbers on the Northern Michigan power play. The Gopher penalty killing unit has not been real successful lately, even though it was 3rd overall in the league at 84%. It's only been 77% in the last 7 games.
Breaking in, here's Beatty. That shot goes right through. It's deflected back behind the net by Drake. Wrapped away by Smolik to the near boards. Wildcats have only taken 4 shots on goal in this period, and there's only 3 minutes left to play, but they have a power play and a chance here to score the game's first goal. Now Grant Bischoff back to pick it up for Minnesota. He's got Craig Johnson breaking, but elects to clear it all the way down. And Pye watches and then flips it up on the far side. Now Kevin Scott, senior left wing for the Wildcats, got it to the line. It slides into the zone and then dumped in deeper by Hiller. Scott in the corner. High slot. Here's a shot by Beatty. That's deflected, and it comes right back out.
Minnesota has really done a fine job of pressing Northern Michigan every time they cross the blue line and forcing bad passes just like right there, and just not allowing Northern Michigan any time at all to come in and set up.
Now at the far boards, it's dropped by Tony Szabo. Brought ahead by Plandowski. He leaves it for Dean Antos. Back for Plandowski. It bounced in on Stolp, who made the save. The rebound was blocked by Richards. The defenseman is centered again, and it comes right through as Antos was right there trying to jam it in. Lou Malone at center. 20 on the power play. Wawrinka has it now. Over to the far side. It's deflected by Malone. Taken away by Olam. Shorthanded. Shooting. That's deflected by Wawrinka. Boy, Bill Pye gets such great protection out in front of him. That time by Wawrinka. Penalty to Muller about to expire. And we're 5 skaters aside as the Wildcats dump it in. Minute 45 to go in the period. On the far boards, here's Malone shooting. That's deflected. Malone then dumps it back behind the net. Johnson rattles it around. Carpenter waits for it at the line. Fires. It goes off a skate. Goes over the glass and out of play.
Just a minute and a half left in a scoreless first period of play. You're looking at Steve Carpenter, another freshman on this Wildcat team. Each team has 5 freshmen in the lineup, and I think, Frank, that can be somewhat surprising, too, to see this many young players, first-year players, on both of these teams, and they finished 1 and 2 respectively in the league, and here are meeting for the championship of the WCHA.
Face-off coming up, draw to the line. Carpenter slides it across. Here's Simpson shooting. That shot goes wide of the target. Now in the corner, they battle for the puck. It comes loose. And on the boards. Here's Ben Hankinson to pick it up. Finally, it's flipped out of the zone. Puck bounces free at the line. Here's Jason Miller, and now picked up by Brian Gans, a freshman from Kingsford, Michigan. Ben Hankinson now with a minute to go in the period. Hankinson moving in, and then ran right into Simpson. It's poked loose again, and Pye leaves it behind the net, where it's controlled by Steve Carpenter. Carpenter's long pass goes through everybody, and an icing call with 44 seconds left to go in the first period. Jim Rich, our third man on this crew, is waiting by at ice level behind the goal, being watched by Bill Pye. Jim?
Thanks very much, Frank. I talked to Doug Woog before tonight's game, and he said the key for his team tonight was to stop Northern Michigan from getting out of their zone. He couldn't let them get out quickly because that's when they're most dangerous with their forwards. He says to pinch those Northern defensemen, it'll help his team, and so far it's worked as Northern has only gotten 5 shots. Frank?
That's right, Jim. They really have done a good job of bottling Northern Michigan up in their end. Just seconds remain in a scoreless first period, 40 to be exact. Out at center ice, here's Dallas Drake. Ed Ward on the left wing brings it in, watched by McAlpine. Ward centers it, and it comes all the way back to the blue line. Malone dumped it to Drake. Drake fans on the pass as he was checked, and here comes Larry Olam leading a 3-man break. Olam hits the line, brings it in. Brought down by Drake. That's a penalty. You betcha. No question there. Good open field tackle.
And it was a nice play by Larry Olam. It looked harmless coming around the line where he wouldn't cross it, but the puck just slipped through, and with him breaking in, you see the tackle by Dallas Drake. There wasn't much he could do. He was beaten on the play by the fleet-footed Larry Olam out of Warroad in Minnesota, way up there on the boundary by the Manitoba border. And the Gophers will end the period, which has only 17 seconds remaining, with a power play advantage. And more than likely that will carry over into the second period, where the Gophers will begin with that manpower.
Which reminds us that with that intermission coming up, we'll have 2 special guests for you, 2 of the players in tonight's game. Tom Peterson, one of the top defensemen in the league, who is likely to be an Olympic player next year from the Gophers, and Scott Beatty from Northern Michigan. They'll be joining us between periods, which is just now 13 seconds away. Mike Muller back to get the puck for the Gophers at his own end. Fires it all the way down, and an icing call, so with 6 seconds left, a big face-off comes up in the Gopher end.
You don't want to face off in your own zone in the tail end of a period, because if we've seen so many times this year, you can really get zipped on it by losing the draw and have it come back to the defenseman of the other team, and he can score from there. Gophers are not a very strong team when it comes to taking center ice face-offs. So now they've got Larry Olam out there to try and take the draw. His duty right here is just going to be to try and tie up his opposing centerman and not let the puck go back to the point.
The call from the referee Shepard was for the dark team, Minnesota, to get into the face-off circle. There's Larry Olam.
Back up!
Yeah, crazy kid, back up.
Guess who's in control of this game?
Now, behind the net, McAlpine will ride down the clock. And the horn here at the Civic Center in St. Paul sounds the end of the first period. One which offensively Minnesota dominated. And amazingly enough, defensively, the Wildcats from Northern Michigan dominated. So it's a 0-0 score. We'll be back with our intermission right after this.
Not long ago, one of the first Lumina sedans was bought by a family of 5. They said they liked the gas mileage, all the room it had, and they liked the price. Since then, the Lumina sedan has quickly become the best-selling new car name in America. Apparently, a lot of people are winning with
the heartbeat of America. That's today's Chevrolet.
Now it's easy to win with a heartbeat.
Right, now pay attention. Everyday Highlandish, shall we say, monitoring the competition. Or to be more precise, we're monitoring their prices. So, if they should attempt to go lower on any item, we'll know it straight away. And we'll go even lower still. Now you may ask, is it right to engage in all this covert activity just to save you more money? Of course it is.
Highland, the store that's impossible to beat.
You finally reach that great hidden beach. It doesn't get any better. The heat of the day, ooh, the cool of the spray. It doesn't get any better than this. There's only one law. Let the good time pour. You couldn't care less. Who could ask for more? It doesn't get any better.
Old Milwaukee Light.
It doesn't get any better.
Feltner Plumbing and Heating is ready when you're in need with trained, prompt, courteous service reps with 24-hour emergency service. Feltner specializes in residential and commercial repair, remodeling, or new construction, featuring the Carrier system, the ultra-energy efficient heating and cooling system, and with 36 years of service behind them, you can feel secure that the job will be done right the first time. For all your plumbing and heating needs, call 226-9751. Feltner is your authorized Carrier system dealer. We're not comfortable until you are.
Jandrin's Jewelry in the Westwood Mall invites you to come in and comparative shop. Stop at Jandrin's before you buy anywhere else. You see, at Jandrin's, everyday prices are outstanding, so you don't have to wait for a sale. You'll always find an excellent price at Jandrin's. Also, Jandrin sells gold chain by the gram and has in-store jewelry and watch repair for your convenience. So for all your jewelry needs, think Jandrin's. Stop in and talk to Neil and Kathy Jandrin at Jandrin's Jewelry in the Westwood Mall.
Welcome back to the St. Paul Civic Center in the WCHA championship game. And Tom Peterson, for the Gophers to get here, you finally broke that jinx against Wisconsin and beat them in this building. It had to feel good yesterday to do that.
That was nice. We played well. You know, I mean, the third period was a little slow for us, but you know, we did everything we wanted to do as a team. We accomplished our objectives going into the game, and we came out with the W.
You suffered a re-injury of an ankle problem that has plagued you a little bit this year. How does it feel, and how will you be able to go for tonight?
Yeah, I heard it second period yesterday. I don't know. I'm going to warm up and see how it feels. I think I'll be able to go. They're gonna if I can't go, they'll just move Mike Muller back to defense. So I'm going to go out there and give it a shot. You know, I've wanted to play when we played Northern up there, and I couldn't because my ankle wasn't coming along yet. Now it's come along, and I want to be out there tonight, be able to have a chance to help get a W for the Gophers.
Well, this would be your type of game, playing against a team like Northern Michigan, a very offensive-minded team. What do you expect out of them? What are some of the keys that the Gophers are going to have to watch from this explosive, high-scoring team?
I think we got to watch their top two lines really. Especially the top line with Beatty on it. We got to keep them in check. Hopefully, our lines can do that and put a couple points on the board, as far as goals go. And then their defensemen, they're real solid all the way around. They got good goaltending and they got good defense. So we just got to play our game. We can't play towards their game. We just got to go out there and play Gopher hockey.
Is this extra special meaning for you to come back into the St. Paul Civic Center in the championship tournament? I know you've been here before as a high school student, and getting playoff action here is something that kind of runs in the family.
Yeah, it's nice to be able to get back here. I remember the high school tournament playing here and stuff like that, and it's always a thrill to play at the Civic Center, especially in front of so many people, and the TV coverage is great too. It's not quite like the state tournament, but I don't think there's a lot of things around that are, but it's pretty close.
You're also in finals week, where you've got final exams coming up this week. How difficult is it to study for finals and then concentrate on playing in a championship game?
It's tough. It really is. My mind's really on hockey right now. I got a final tomorrow morning, though, so I got after the game pretty much cracked on the books. But right now I'm thinking about hockey.
Well, best of luck to the Golden Gophers and Tommy Peterson. We'll return for more at the St. Paul Civic Center after this short pause.
If this is the way you like to fish, we're about to disturb your nap, guaranteed. Introducing Fish Tech 2000. It attracts fish by the schoolful. Big fish, little fish, any kind of fish. Fish Tech attracts them and nails them. The secret is chemiluminescence, a brilliant beam of light that penetrates even the murkiest waters and draws fish to it with an irresistible urge to strike. To activate, just bend, snap, and shake. The individual chemicals combine instantly to create chemiluminescence. Attach Fish Tech 2000 to your line, then cast into the water and brace yourself for action. Fish Tech works in freshwater or saltwater, with live bait or any lure, and it lasts up to 4 full hours. Fishermen everywhere are raving about it.
I've been bass fishing for years, but I've never caught anything like this. With Fish Tech, I've even caught 9 and 12 pounders.
I used to think fishing was boring, but not with Fish Tech. I can't believe the action.
Fish Tech works for them, and it's guaranteed to work for you. If on your very first day you don't catch more fish than you've ever caught, we'll refund every penny. Fish Tech is only $14.95 for a package of 10. That's 40 hours of the most action-packed fishing you can imagine. Your eyes will be so wide open in amazement, we'll also include these original Amber Vision glasses as a special bonus. Over 3 million have been sold, but they're yours absolutely free. That's 10 Fish Tech 2000s plus the original Amber Vision glasses for only $14.95. Due to overwhelming response, CODs cannot be accepted. So have your credit card ready and order now.
Have your credit card ready and call toll-free 1-800-453-9000 or send check or money order for $14.95 plus $4 shipping and handling to Fish Tech 2000, 4500 American Way, Roanoke, Virginia. Due to overwhelming demand, no CODs will be accepted.
It's not simply a game. It's an era of fitness, health, muscle development, body toning, beauty, and power. It's the era of Soloflex. Become a part of it. Call anytime for a free brochure.
Welcome back to the Civic Center in St. Paul for this championship game of the WCHA playoffs. And with me between periods now is Scott Beatty, named on Saturday night the most valuable player of the Western Collegiate Hockey Association. We had a chance to talk to you briefly about it, but let's get more thoughts about receiving an honor like that, an MVP honor.
Well, I think it's a great honor, but like I said before, it's a team effort in Northern Michigan, and I think the award goes to my teammates as much as it goes to me.
Still, you had a great season. The Wildcats have had a great season. You've been on a roll, particularly since the 2 losses to St. Cloud State.
Yeah, we've been playing well after that. You know, I think we've been undefeated in the last 21 games or so. But, you know, we got that winning feeling, and now we're just running on emotion, and we want continued success.
As you looked at the playoffs this year and thought about possibilities, did this team sort of dream of meeting Minnesota in the championship game?
Well, we knew Minnesota was a good hockey club, you know, and it's been pretty even the whole time, us against them this year in the league. And, you know, this is a nice setting, you know. You're here to play for a championship against Minnesota, and, you know, we're 1-2 in the league, and you couldn't ask for a better scenario.
Give us a thumbnail sketch, if you will, Scott. What's the character of the Wildcat team this year?
Well, we have a lot of depth, you know, and we have 7 seniors that are leading us the whole way, and they're a great bunch of guys, you know. And behind the 7 seniors, there's, you know, 20 other guys that are, you know, just as nice and just as great off the ice as they are on. And, you know, we're a big family there now, and we're really happy with each other, and I think that means a lot to, you know, when you get on the ice and play.
The way the NCAA pairings are lining up, you're going to have a weekend off next weekend. What are you going to do with your spare time?
Well, we're going to practice, you know, we're going to work hard again, and we're just going to look forward to playing the winner of Boston College and Anchorage, I guess it is. And, you know, we're going to work hard and think nothing else about playing the winner of that series.
All right, Scott Beatty, thanks for joining us. A leader on the ice in stats and also a leader as the MVP of the Western Collegiate Hockey Association. We'll be back with more of our first intermission right after this timeout.
Remember me? I'm the kid that had a report due on space. Then I got the new Encyclopedia Britannica.
He had a report due on space, and then he got the new encyclopedia.
I think I made that abundantly clear.
Yes.
Anyhow, here it is. I mean, hey, everybody knows this is the greatest encyclopedia in the world. Help me get a B+.
Why not an A?
Too long. I found so much great information, I put it all in. Overkill. The next report I did was for my science class on the human body. Scored an A.
Good.
Look at this. I always wondered where my mandibula was.
For details on how you can own the new Encyclopedia Britannica,
Let's have that 800 number. Excellent.
just call this number and we'll send you this free booklet.
Tell them about the gift.
And just for previewing Britannica in your home, we'll give you this 3-volume desk reference set.
This is like having your own research library at home.
Yes. So if you would be interested in owning the new Encyclopedia Britannica...
Don't press. They see the phone number. If they want to, they'll call.
I guess you're right.
Trust me.
You've only got one chance.
Get hooked on sports. It's a habit you can live with.
Sponsored by the National Sporting Goods Association.
If you're having problems controlling your children or keeping yourself from hurting, you don't know where to turn for help, call Boys Town's hotline. You talk to someone who understands and can help you find the help you need. 1-800-448-3000.
EQ Muffler in Marquette says good luck to the Hockey Wildcats. EQ Muffler has served Marquette County for 54 years and is still family-owned. That's EQ Muffler, 250 East Hampton in Marquette. Call 226-2131. And the Marquette Catholic Credit Union wishes the Hockey Wildcats the best of luck. The Marquette Catholic Credit Union has served Marquette for many years and is with the community in cheering the Cats on.
As Kirk and the guys work on their list of 91 reasons to shop Nelson, you can start your own during Nelson's Drive to the Final Four Sellathon. Get cash back, then make your best deal on Olds 88. Check the big value package on specially equipped Cutlass Supremes. Buy any new Olds and get your oil change free for 3 years. Choose from over 35 full-size Chevy 4x4s. Plus, with every purchase, you get the Nelson Commitment Card and a free Ninja Turtle.
Nobody works harder.
Welcome back to the WCHA Championship Playoff Network from St. Paul, Minnesota. The Civic Center is the site of this championship game. At the end of 20 minutes of play, however, the two top teams in this league are knotted up at 0-0. And I think perhaps you'll agree with me that Minnesota was the dominant offensive team, but Northern Michigan was the dominant defensive team in that game.
Yes, they were. Northern Michigan, even though Minnesota controlled the play, brought the puck into the zone, they had trouble penetrating and getting into the slot area. That's because the Northern Michigan defense basically wants to form a box to keep everybody to the outside of it. They've done a very good job of that. A lot of experience back there. I think more importantly, they've got some good forwards who know how to check coming back and tie up their man so they don't get open and get into the danger zone.
Well, despite the fact that there was no score, it was not a period without action. And one man who had a bird's eye view of the action is Jeff Stolp. May have taken this one right between the eyes.
Well, this is Lou Malone breaking in from his point position. It deflects up a defenseman and rises straight up, catching Jeff flush in the forehead. As you mentioned, Frank, a couple of weeks ago, or last weekend, he took a big shot in the head and took a cut from it as well. But it has not been a game without emotion. And here's a huge hit as Carpenter goes down on a blast from Minnesota's Doug Smolik. Once, and then twice. And then the rebound. But Billy Pye has seen some action down at his end, and here's a good example of why he's a premier goalie in the league. Ben Hankinson coming across the line, dropped it back, and Corey Leyland got himself open and fired a good scorcher. Pye known for a great glove hand and came up solid there. So no scoring in the period. You see the shots on goal with Minnesota holding a 4-shot advantage. Tom Peterson led all shooters in that opening period with 2 shots, and power plays have really been minimal. Northern Michigan had 1 chance, couldn't put it away, and really couldn't get much going at all. And now Minnesota will begin the second period with a power play advantage.
That certainly will be a big factor in their favor. If you're going to look for little weaknesses or little seams, perhaps one might be the fact that Bill Pye in that first period tended to leave some large rebounds. Fortunately, for him, he's got those speedy wingers to come back and pick them up. For the Gophers, their bone-crushing hits have been a very big factor for them to keep them with the momentum.
Well, the momentum is such an important thing, and maybe we're not seeing the best that Northern Michigan can play in this game yet either. Remember, they had a sluggish start yesterday playing North Dakota. It took them a period and a half before they got on track to get those high-scoring forwards going, but we have not seen the type of team that we know Northern Michigan is capable of being, which is explosive and coming on out of the zone rapidly. They've got 4 lines that can just kill you.
There's the penalized player, Dallas Drake, who received a holding penalty. He's got 1 minute and 43 seconds remaining on that as Minnesota is on its first power play. As you look at their season power play numbers, and the penalty kill numbers for Northern Michigan are also very impressive. From the face-off at center ice, here's a steal right away by Tom Peterson. He centered it, and a backhand tip-in try by Jernander goes behind the net. Now it's knocked free to center by Garrett McDonald, who got it to the Minnesota line, but then had to come back for the loose puck. Tom Peterson again, flipping it in deep. Here's Bill Pye launching it off the boards, and Daryl Plandowski is there to backhand it all the way down. Now Peterson knocks down a pass at his own line, skates it to the Northern Michigan line, then had it swept away neatly by Brad Warenka. Deep in the corner, here's Jernander. Warenka chases him. Zmolik is bumped on the wall. Puck comes loose to Klatt. He gets the shot off. The rebound is swept into the corner. Sukharov is there to clear it all the way down.
Nice save by Billy Pye. He kind of rode with a flow of action to his left and was able to cover the rebound.
Here's a steal, and Buffet shoots. Big save by Stope. That helps his teammates out in a big way. Now to center, Craig Johnson in over the line. Got it to Jeff Nielsen, and they work it back behind the net. Craig Johnson slides it back to the near side, picks it up, gets it to the point. 30 on the Minnesota power play. And now Jeff Nielsen had it, but he's tied up by Malone. Bischoff tracks down the loose puck. At the line, Luke Johnson. Long wrist shot, rejected right away. Here's Richards again. To the side, Hankinson. Back to the line, Luke Johnson. At the side, a deflection. And it's kicked out by a defenseman. Great passing on the power play by Minnesota. And the Wildcats dump it down.
That was in the net if Lou Malone didn't get a stick on that puck.
Now here's Travis Richards to bring it to center. He's watched by Ed Ward. In over the line comes Leyland trying to break right in. And he's chased to the outside neatly by the defenseman McDonald, just a freshman. Boy, he played that one like a seasoned veteran. Now Leyland tries to ram it in front. It squirts loose. And Dallas Drake just out of the box hauls it to the Minnesota line. 3-on-2. He takes it deep. Drake watched by Luke Johnson. Now Hiller is jammed up. Puck slides to the far side. Here's Hiller alone shooting. And Stope makes another big save in close. Northern Michigan had only 2 shots from in the slot from that high-quality area. 1 shot, I should say, in the first period. Here in the second, they've already had 2 from point-blank range. Now from behind the net, Simpson is chased away with the puck. And back to help him out is Steve Carpenter. Now Hiller is in trouble. Carpenter has the loose puck. Boy, the Wildcats cover for one another beautifully in their own end. Now Carpenter shooting it around. Doug Smolik pinching in to keep it alive, but lost control of the puck. Buffet cleared, but not out. Muller shooting. It's deflected. Miller chases it. It bounces in front, and it's jammed out of the zone.
Northern Michigan turning it up a notch, and we're seeing a faster skating team here in this period. I think for Minnesota to continue to be successful, Frank, they've got to continue with that hitting game.
Now at center, here's Simpson. Pass deflected. Brought in by Gans. The freshman fires, and Stope turns another one away. Gans centers, and it's deflected, and it comes right through. Here's Muller. Played it ahead to Bell. Bell 1-on-4 to the line, and he's dropped by Malone. And the puck is cleared by Sukharov back to center. Brought in by Gans. He's chased outside by Brill. Spun off the puck by McAlpine, and the Gophers get it. Here's Mike Muller to center. Normally a defenseman playing up front for Minnesota. And Muller took a jolt there from Drake. Out at center ice, it gets away from Shayak. Now Drake gets it in. Drop pass to Ward in the slot, but that's taken away by Bell. Muller at center. Backhands it in. Malone knocks it down. And Malone back to center ice. Now Drake avoids one check, and as he brings it in, it's offside. We've played 4 minutes of the second period, no score.
Hi, I'm Dan Fouts, and here's a great gift idea. For only $26.95, you'll receive a high-quality T-shirt and hat with your favorite university's 2-color logo. Money from your order of this officially licensed merchandise will benefit your school and its athletic program. So for only $26.95, you can show your school spirit and help support your favorite university. Here's how to order.
Call toll-free 1-800-632-3800. Add shipping and handling charges. 1-800-632-3800.
Have seen a little faster tempo here in this second period with only 4 minutes gone in it. Northern Michigan leading the edge in action right now.
Here's Ed Ward taking it in deep, a deflection and a goal. It was tipped in front by freshman Tony Zabel. First goal of the game makes it 1-0 Northern Michigan.
Tony Zabel was named Freshman of the Year in the WCHA. He's a native of Flint, Michigan. And Zabel has had an amazing season of 35 goals. Watch here as they dump it into the zone. Zabel now is going to go right to the net. You see the player looking out in front, looking twice, and as Zabel keeps going, wards off the check, keeps his stick on the ice, and just gets enough of it to tip it past Jeff Stolp. 1-0, Northern Michigan drawing first blood at 4:06 of the period here in this game.
Tony Zabel named Freshman of the Year for many reasons, among them now the fact that he has scored 36 goals this season, and it comes on an early shot here in the second period by Northern Michigan.
Just shows you the depth, Frank, that this team has. You've got some great guns on that forward line with Jim Hiller, Scott Beatty, and Kevin Scott that we talked about earlier. Then you get into the second line. You got a guy like Tony Zabel now with 36 goals. Go down to the third line. You got a centerman, Dean Antos, who has 37 points. You get on the fourth line, Mark Buffet is a center there. He's a veteran. He's in his junior year. Fourth line center, and he's got 44 points on the year, which is better than a point per game average. Incredible scoring abilities on the Wildcats.
Face-off will be to the left of Jeff Stolp. And right from the draw, the puck shoots into the far corner. Nielsen collides with Ward. The puck in the slot, but it's cleared out by Johnson. Here's a race for the puck led by Craig Johnson. There's no relation. And Warenka tries to play it away. Now Drake back to center for the Wildcats. Crisscrosses with Ward. Warenka has the loose puck. Dumps it in deep to Drake. Back to Ward, breaking in. His shot goes high and into the corner. And the Wildcats have really woken up in this period.
Well, not only that, Frank, but Minnesota has slept a little bit on their defensive coverage. They've got to tie up guys better when the puck is back in their own end of the ring.
Now here's Warenka playing it out at center ice. Ward is there, and he backhands it all the way down. Doug Smolik goes after the puck. Smolik ahead to Corey Leyland. Here's Jason Miller tapping it ahead. It's tapped loose, and it's rattled ahead by Carpenter. Smolik takes his man down. That looked like it was Kevin Scott dropped there. It's centered right in front again. And the defenseman, Luke Creighton. That wasn't Luke Johnson to clear it, but it was Doug Smolik who got it out of the slot. Now here's Hiller. Blocked by Jason Miller. Corey Leyland tips it free. He's checked by Simpson and knocked down. Simpson back behind the net. And the loose puck rolls to the near side for Jim Hiller, a sophomore, Cranbrook, BC. Now Chris McAlpine. John Brill. Intercepted by Simpson at center, intercepted by Brill. He weaves in over the line, gets the shot off, high the save, and he pounces on the rebound, but the whistle goes, play is called. Getting a little rough right now. Looks like Plandowski on top of Brill.
You two go.
No, that's Brill on the backboards there. Plandowski on top of Bell, and he gives Bell a cheap shot, and Bell retaliates. Here's Fabian, who might be the third man in here, which would be an additional penalty.
It all started when Bell drove to the net, crashed in the pie, and then Plandowski, landing on top of Bell, started throwing some punches. Now that should be the original penalty, and we'll have to see if Greg Shepard awards it this way.
Got him! I got him! 18-5, let's go! Let's go! Go, 2, go! 10, go! You go, you go!
Everybody go!
Let's be out. I can give you misconduct for that. I can throw you out for that.
And here's how it all started. You see Bell crashing the net and Plandowski finishing off the play. And we're going to have three players from each team going in. Let's listen in to referee Greg Shepard.
10, hitting the goaltender. That's 2. What do you think?
Perfect.
Okay.
Got to take him.
Then we'll go him and 15 each for, or should we give him 2?
You're going to take 10 all by himself?
No,
Or you're
well,
gonna give him
10 and 15 are going to go together.
Okay.
But 10's going to get the extra 2.
All right.
So we're going to give him 2.
So he's going to get
2 for hitting the goaltender. And we'll go 2 for roughing and 15, 2 for roughing. Okay. Everybody else 2 for roughing.
All right.
Is that okay?
We got 16 in the maroon that I took off, 16 in maroon, and 14, I believe.
Yeah, we got those guys there. What do you think? We got the original on 10 for hitting the goaltender. Everybody else 2 for roughing.
10 white.
10 white does nothing.
Or 10 dark.
Got 10 dark,
The
and he's not tied up with anybody.
Well, then 15 hit him. Then they went at it. So we're going to go 2 on him. 2 and 2. No, there's no case now. Everything's going down.
All right, okay.
Skate 3 on 3.
And then we got encroachment.
Yeah, we're outside. Okay, here's what we got, gentlemen. We'll start with dark. We'll go 10. 2 checking the goaltender. 2 roughing. Okay? The other 2, each 2 for roughing.
This means Northern Michigan will get a power play.
Right.
Right. We'll go 2, 2, 4. Over here.
10 is Scott
we
Bell.
Go 2, 2, 2. Each all for roughing. The smallest go first.
Smallest to largest. It's your choice.
Hiller, Simpson, and Plandowski are off for Northern Michigan.
For them, it's their choice, right? Their choice.
Here's a look again at how it all started.
Plandowski, number 15, as he gets roughing up with Sean Fabian. You see him grabbing onto the face mask right there, both players. And they're growling away. And everybody piling into the corner. That's why we have the extra minor penalties coming out of it all. And the 2 coaches, Doug Woop taking notes, Rick Comley mental notes. And Captain Dean Antos has come over to explain the penalty calls to Comley. His team will come out of this with a power play advantage because there'll be an extra minor penalty against Minnesota's Scott Bell for hitting the goaltender. And here's how it all began. Pye is down. He has the puck controlled. And Bell comes in trying to knock it loose. He wasn't checked into the goalie. He wasn't hooked into him. There was nothing interfering his progress. So that's why the penalty is called against Minnesota. And then when Plandowski jumped on top to pummel him a few times, that's when all the other rough stuff started. And the extra minor penalties handing out to each of 5 players on the 2 teams. Actually 6 players because Bell gets 1 for roughing as well, but also the original for hitting the goalie.
Bell for roughing, checking the goalie on roughing, Fabian for roughing, Brill for roughing, Hiller, Simpson, and Plandowski each for roughing. And in 2 minutes, the power play will begin for Northern Michigan. So that's how it all boils down. Much to do about a little bit there, but it takes some time. They had to get it settled out. And while they continue to settle it out, we'll take a break.
Soloflex. 1 machine. 1 workout program. 32 exercises. 90 minutes a week. For 1 beautiful body. The Soloflex Muscle Machine. For a free brochure, call anytime.
Something we heard from referee Greg Shepard off mic a little bit was the fact that Scott Bell immediately came up to him and was questioning the extra call. And Shep told him, hey, there's no way. You ran right into him. I saw it. I was right behind you. I saw it all the way. You didn't have to do it. That's why the penalty. We'll be playing now 3 skaters aside for the next 2 minutes. And then the power play will take over for Northern Michigan.
We have 14 minutes to go in the second period. Northern Michigan leading 1-0 on a goal by Tony Zabel. 3-on-3. Here's Mark Buffet behind the net. He's checked by Grant Bischoff, and Tom Peterson has the puck. Peterson, a very spirited leader of this hockey club. He told you during our intermission that he was out for 6 games with that ankle injury. Minnesota's record during those 6 games was a meager 2 wins, 2 losses, and 2 ties. They struggled without Tom Pete.
Well, he's that quarterback back there defensively. Can really make so much happen because he's got super puck handling skills and a terrific shot.
Great pass for Bischoff, but that one sailed on him a little bit. Smolik trying to knock it free. Sukroff checked there by Peterson, who is a defenseman, but in pretty deep right there. And now here's Warenka. Brad Warenka flipping it ahead. Sukroff goes after it in the corner. He is stopped, tied up. Pops it right in on Stope, who quickly kicked it away because Dean Antos was right on the doorstep. Peterson fires from center, and Pye just got a piece of it. Now Sucroft playing it ahead, and the Wildcats are offside as they bring it in with 39 seconds left on those first minor penalties. I think we said the power play was going to start in 2 minutes. It's actually going to start in 4 minutes.
Correct. When because there's 3 minor penalties to each team, a team can only be shorthanded, remember, 2 players at any given time. So when these penalties expire, 1 player from each team will come onto the ice, and then those third minor penalties, those third set of players who have gone off, their time will begin. And it'll be after that 2-minute period when finally Minnesota will be shorthanded. And if you can understand that, great.
We'll tell you when it happens. Here's Olin back behind the net. Now to the far side for Luke Johnson, rushing to the line, and had the puck roll right off his stick. Sucroft headmanning it for Lou Malone a bit too far, at least for Dean Antos. Stoke plays it. Apparently the puck went through the crease, so they waved off the icing. Malone is checked, and here's Luke Johnson again. Those first minors will be over in 10 seconds. And then 1 player from each team will come out. Out of the corner, here is Antos again. Hiller and Brill step onto the ice. Sucroft shooting wide of the open corner. The wraparound try was blocked by Craig Johnson. Centering pass is deflected. And here is Johnson again for Minnesota to John Brill. Brill carries it deep. Stop. Looks for someone to pass it to, but not many bodies out there right now. Still 4 on 4 for another minute 38 seconds. And the power play will kick in for Northern Michigan. They lead 1-0. Coming up on the halfway point of the hockey game. Ben Hankinson back to McAlpine. Now tipped ahead by Hankinson, 2-on-1. Here's Richards, man in front, centered. And it was broken up by Sucroft. High slot, McAlpine fires right on, and that's gloved by Pye.
Chris McAlpine's shot going a little bit too high. He wants to keep it down, so there could be a rebound attempt. We've commented a couple of times tonight how Billy Pye likes to kick it right back out in front. So when you're a defenseman, you want to keep the shot low.
Along with Jim Rich and Wally Shaver, this is Frank Mazzacco from the Civic Center in St. Paul. We pass on a welcome to all of you watching on our WCHA network tonight, including those of you watching on PASS, on New England Sports Network, and on the Prime Sports Network throughout the country, as well as our loyal viewers on Armed Forces Television Network. 11 minutes left to go in this one, in the second period. Puck brought in and shot to the corner by Wawrinka. Now Platt tips it free, and here's Ken Jernander. Jernander second in goal scoring for the Gophers with 19. Here's Richards. Now Platt trying to weave his way in, but the coverage is tight again. Minnesota just cannot get open in the Northern Michigan end. A pass intended for the point hit the skates of the referee. Brought in by Wawrinka, and he dumps it in deep, having lost the glove. Now Luke Johnson going over to pick it up. In 20 seconds, the Wildcats will get a power play. Here's Jernander going after it. He's well covered by Sucroft. Now Buffet from behind the net. Ed Ward at center. Ward on a 6-game scoring streak. Lost the puck at the line. Here's Nielsen firing off the glove of Pye off the glass, and then up on a play.
Billy Pye had a grandfather who played football at the University of Notre Dame back in the mid-30s. Did you know that?
Did not.
The way Billy Pye is built, he's probably a linebacker by all guesses. Right at you. That's a shot by Nielsen going off target and just off the glove of Billy Pye. Sometimes you got to wonder why you want to be a goalie facing 90-mile-an-hour shots coming at you from 40 feet away.
It's an incredible skill. And then take a shot right between the eyes like Jeff Stolp has done 2 weeks in a row and come right back in.
And not even phase you. I asked him last week how that shot he hit him, how it cut him. I said, Jeff, did you see stars? No, I was kind of woozy for a minute, but after I shook my head a few times, I got the spiders out of there, and we just went right back to it.
He did get pulled from that game. The cut Greg Shepard now is talking to Gopher captain Ben Hankinson. Doug Wu. Wu can't believe that the faceoff is coming out at center. It went off Pye's glove as the replay shows.
Yep.
And that should mean that the faceoff should be in the zone. But as you saw in the replay, also was a real quick deflection. An easy one for a referee to miss.
Sure.
So Shepard rules that the stick leaves the rink off of a Gopher, the puck leaves the rink off of a Gopher stick, so the faceoff was brought to center. Halfway through the second period, and the Wildcats on a power play for another minute 40 as Hiller dumps it in. Out of the corner, here's Scott Beatty. He's checked. Now Hiller dumps it in deep. Drake is checked. Tied up there by Jeff Nielsen. Puck knocked around. Far point. Here's Warenka. Now McDonald had it hop off his stick. He dumps it in deep. Wildcats working in deeper now around to Hiller. Hiller is checked. Smolik is there to break it up. Loose puck to Brill, and he drives it out of his zone.
Northern Michigan is keeping two forwards right down by the goal line. They like to work that puck down low and then flip it out in front.
Here's a giveaway. Grabbed by Jason Miller. He tried to pop it in front, but again, the coverage is good. Dallas Drake checked by Ben Hankinson, and he wraps it all the way down the rink. Now under a minute to go, and the penalty to Scott Bell. Brad Warenka leads the rush to center, now to the Gopher line, flips it far side. Hankinson covering Hill there, or Hiller, and broke it up. Then the Gophers shoot it all the way down. Lou Malone back behind his own net. Malone watched on the play by Craig Johnson, who wrapped it away from him. That'll slow up the power play again. 1-0 hockey game. 25 seconds left of the Wildcat power play. They lead. Luke Johnson goes after it, gets to it before it crosses the line. There's no icing. Now Antos behind the Minnesota net. 12 on the Wildcat power play. Broken up by Luke Johnson. Antos fires it across. Landowski just failed to tip it in, and it's shot all the way down by Bischoff. Broken up at center by Sukharov. Then they dump it in as the penalty to Bell is over. We're 5 skaters aside, and the Gopher power penalty killing unit does the job. Pye plays it ahead. Gans gets it to center. Crawling play by Buffet, but he lost it. Now back to Sukharov. He shoots it around to Gans on the far side, who clears it all the way down, and they're going to wave off icing as Sean Fabian plays it. Well, nearly lost it to Buffet right in front of the net. Cleared up on the wall by Leyland. Miller is trapped. It comes free. They work it in deep, and Shayak puts it right through. Now to the corner, Gans has it. He's met hard by Fabian. Peterson clears to Hankinson. Now out to center ice for Jason Miller. Miller hits the line 1-on-3 as the Gophers make a line change on the go. Jason Miller in the corner, played it back to the line. Here's Doug Smolik lining it up, the shot, and it's kicked away by Pye in traffic. Flip to the line, blocked there by McAlpine. He dumps it in front, and it goes into the corner for Hankinson. Hankinson roughs it up. There's going to be a penalty coming up here. A delayed call as Pye covers up.
That's a hold.
And a holding penalty coming up on Steve Carpenter. Gophers will go to power play to try to tie.
Right, you're thinking like so fresh. Yeah, you're keeping fit. That's it. So fresh, long as you keep trying, you're gonna get your wish. So fresh.
Now, Long John Silver's has a lighter way to go. Our tender-baked whitefish. So get ready. Get set.
So fresh. Long John Silver's.
Right now, come in and try our new baked fish light portion.
Nothing to score. Northern Michigan with the lead over Minnesota. Let's go to Jim Rich, who's standing by with Wisconsin coach Jeff Sauer.
Okay, Jeff, your team was shut down by Minnesota last night 3-2. Now they're doing it to Northern Michigan. Does this surprise you at all that the Gophers are playing this tough defensively?
They're playing great defensively. Jeff Stoltz playing great goal. That's the difference tonight as it was yesterday in our game.
Okay, Jeff, we have to rejoin the action. Frank?
Thanks very much, Jim. Jeff Sauer, of course, involved with the coaching the Badgers in that third place game today, which they lost to North Dakota by a score of 5-2. Out at center ice. 90 seconds left on the Minnesota power play, and it's dumped all the way down. Up front for the Gophers are Larry Olam, Trent Platt, and Ken Jernander. And while I'm wondering about Larry Olam, I haven't seen him on the ice an awful lot. He's on now, but I'm wondering if he's seeing some spot duty. Here's Olam going after it. He is their leading scorer. You would suspect that he'd be out on the regular shift.
Well, we had 4 minutes or 6 minutes there of shorthanded situations, too, so it really has cut into getting regular units out.
At the line, a diving play by Plandowski to sweep it all the way out. And a minute to go on that penalty to Carpenter. Now Smolik gets it to Jernander. He's got McAlpine breaking. He can really fire. He drops it. A drive fired by Nielsen, but a ton wide. And is cleared all the way back down. Now 45 on the man advantage. Smolik uses the boards to get it to center, but Buffet knocked it right back. Smolik had to shoot it away from Frederick. Now Craig Johnson is trapped by Buffet. Craig Johnson again on the boards. Half minute on the power play to center. Broken up. Frederick flipping it back in.
Minnesota having a tough time because their sloppy passing has hampered their effort to get out of the zone.
Now it's cleared up to the near side. Malone firing it right back in. I don't know if they've even had a shot on goal.
No.
And only 9 seconds left in the power play. Here's Craig Johnson turning for it. This has been, partly because of those penalties, a lackluster period as Peterson fires. It hits traffic. No, it hits Pye, and he makes the save.
Billy Pye again way out of the net. It's quite interesting to see how he just keeps coming out. Gophers continue to go with long shots at Billy Pye. Here's it going D to D. Billy Pye knows that when it comes back there, he just moves right out of his goal crease, cuts down as much as that angle as he can. So there's very little net left. If you're the puck looking at it going towards Billy Pye, there's not many openings there when he's out as far as he is. But it can be just susceptible if the puck is passed in behind you. That's where you have to rely on the abilities of your defensemen to keep those areas clear and also make sure that any opposing players are well covered. Billy Pye has a lot of confidence in his defense.
From the draw, it slid right through the crease or the slot area. Cleared. Blocked for a moment by Richards, but it comes all the way back to center. Now the Gophers regroup in their own end. 4 minutes to go, second period, with the Wildcats leading 1-0. Pye knocks it around. Bounces to center. Here's Drake. Drake gets it in over the line. That's taken away by Bell and played right back out. Now from center, it's dumped in again by Zabel. Here's a steal, a shot by Drake, and a big save by Stolp again.
And again, Frank, we're seeing some sloppy passing by Minnesota as Luke Johnson rounded the goal. He threw it right out in front, and that was almost a costly error.
Boy,
Jeff Stolp had to come up huge.
Gophers have just gone to sleep in this period.
Well, and it's a rather quiet crowd in here right now, too. Very much in favor of Minnesota with about 14,000 in here. But there's a pass by Luke Johnson right onto the stick of Dallas Drake. He was in home free from 20 feet out when he let that shot go. Jeff Stolp kept his team into the game.
Pierre Paget, former coach of the Minnesota North Stars, is now with Jim Rich.
Thanks very much, Frank. And first of all, welcome back to the state of Minnesota. You left a lot of fans here when you went to Quebec.
Well, it's always nice to be back here, and I still have my house here, so it feels like home.
Now, with the situation, more and more of the pros are coming to the college game. Why do you feel that is?
I think you know they're good players, and the programs are really developing the players, and you can afford to see a player develop over a year, 2 or 3 or 4 years. So it's a great place. I think it's probably the best place for players to develop nowadays if they want to have an education at the same time.
Okay, Pierre, thank you very much. We have to rejoin the action. Frank?
Thanks very much, Jim Rich. I tell you, the Gopher program, there's a shot by Hiller that's deflected wide. The Gopher program lost a big friend when Pierre Paget left the North Stars organization to go to be the general manager of the Quebec Nordiques. Of course, he did some college coaching up in Canada and really loves the college game, and it's great to see him back in town. Now, the Gophers work it to the line. At center, here's Olam carrying it in. Leaves it for Jernander, who gets free. He fires. The shot goes wide. Fabian, high slot, Peterson, oh, great move, and then the centering pass goes off a skate. He spotted Larry Olam open on the left side, but the pass hit a skate. Boy, that would have been a picture-perfect goal. Man in front is Klatt, but Jernander can't get it to him. Malone in the corner. 2:20 to go in the period, and the Wildcats dump it back into the Gopher end.
Minnesota has picked it up a little bit of a notch here and beginning to mount some pressure down towards the other end, but another errant pass out of their own zone will bring it all the way back on the icing call.
You know, we mentioned all the folks who are watching us here, there, and everywhere, and of course we don't want to overlook loyal fans who have been with us here in the Twin Cities on our flagship station, KITN-TV, and those joining the network for this weekend up in Duluth, not far from here on WDIO.
Certainly hope you've enjoyed this tremendous playoff series. The WCHA Final Four tournament, now just in its 4th year of having this Final Four here in St. Paul, and each year the attendance of the event has grown. They'll pass 50,000 people for the 4 games here in the tournament. Makes it a wonderful weekend. For those of you not familiar with what goes on in the state of Minnesota at hockey this time of year, the high school tournament featuring 8 teams just finished playing here. 100,000 people watched the action, and you had 50,000 more 2 days after that, and you got a lot of rocking and rolling in this place, and no wonder some of the ice chunks are coming loose. These boards have taken a pounding.
Couple of premier events, and they're very proud to proclaim St. Paul Hockey Capital USA.
They say, too, that the high school tournament is the largest prep tournament of any kind in the country.
Here's Grant Bischoff scoring chance. That shot turned away by Pye. That's about as open as the Gophers are going to get in this game. The coverage of the Wildcats has been phenomenal. Here's Peterson in front for Nielsen. He just got a piece of it, but not enough. Nielsen centers it, and it's swept to the line. Kept in by Jernander. A backhand by Craig Johnson goes behind the net. Now Simpson is covered by Nielsen. Minute 40 in the period as the Gophers turn it up a couple of notches. Grant Bischoff. They work it to the front. Craig Johnson pulls the trigger, but he was checked. And to the near boards, Bart Buffet brings it to the Gopher line. One man back, Buffet fires a goal. He grabbed the short side and fired one in for a 2-0 lead late in the second period.
It was a tough decision for the Gophers to make defensively down there. It was a partial 2-on-1 break. The lone defenseman back was Sean Fabian. He wasn't sure if he should move over and take the guy with the puck or back up and try to cover for the pass. Because you see Tommy Peterson coming back on your right, but he just doesn't have enough starch left at the end of his shift to catch up with Buffet. So Buffet just keeps charging down the side. He knows he's got a winger with him and decides to go for the glove side of Jeff Stope and sends Northern Michigan up to a 2-0 lead now with a minute and a half to go in the period.
That's Buffet, the man you're talking about as being a 4th-line center with now 45 points. Scoring here his 18th goal of the year at 18:36 of the second period. There is our score here in the championship game of the WCHA playoffs. There is Buffet.
And he's being congratulated by a couple of guys off the bash line. They've been bashing goals through all season long. They appreciate the efforts of the 4th line out there. Rick Comley has to be quite a happy coach to have this kind of firepower where they can average almost 6 goals a game.
We told you that both of these teams are headed to the NCAA tournament this year, and at our next intermission, which will be our second intermission, we're going to give you the entire NCAA pairings, rankings, and how the determination was made on each of the 12 teams. And also during the intermission, Jim Rich will talk with Jackie Parker, the coach of Boston University, who is a member of that selection committee. And needless to say, the Terriers will be in the NCAA playoffs as well.
The Terriers have an outstanding hockey team. In fact, they won the Hockey East Championship, defeating Maine 4-3 in overtime. In the other 2 leagues, in the ECAC, Clarkson beat St. Lawrence 5-4 in overtime. And in the CCHA, Lake Superior State defeated Michigan 6-5 in overtime. So this is the last of the 4 leagues. Will we have overtime?
Well, at this point, the Gophers would hope that would be a pretty good possibility, because that would mean it would be at least a 2-2 game. Right now, they're trailing 2-0. Here's a drive by Jernander that deflects off the glass. I don't think it reached the net. 38 seconds left in the period. Dallas Drake behind the Northern Michigan net, and he slides it all the way down, but Doug Smolik will go after it. Here's Ken Jernander for Minnesota. Under a half minute. Loose puck and a whistle. We got a couple of guys wrapped up back in the zone. As Smolik and Tony Szabo.
Now they want to be careful. You don't want to get into a situation where you get nailed with a 5-minute major for fighting. Unlike pro hockey, you just serve your 5 minutes. College hockey, you're tossed out of the hockey game and suspended for the next game. Now with playoffs coming up next week, NCAA playoffs, it could be a costly error. They're being sent to the dressing rooms now because there's only 22 seconds remaining in the period. So I highly doubt that they're going to get disqualification penalties. Greg Shepard will go over to the timekeeper's bench and mete out the penalties right now.
There's a look at Doug Smolik, a #1 draft pick of the North Stars 2 years ago. Tony Szabo, freshman of the year this year in the WCHA.
Okay, he started. Okay, so we'll go 25 White's got 2.
See if Mike concurs.
25 White minor for cross check. He started it. Yep. Okay, so we'll go 25 White cross check. We'll go 4 each of them. 4 for rough, and 2 for cross check. For 25. Yeah, 25. What numbers were 25 White? What else? 25. Okay.
It's sometimes hard to remember those things.
Okay, we got 23 Maroon. 4 minutes roughing. Okay, we got 25 White. 2 minutes cross check. 4 minutes roughing. Huh?
So that's it. The Minnesota Gophers will come out of this with a power play advantage with the extra minor penalty to Tony Szabo for cross-checking, which began the fracas. And that will begin now, but with only 22 seconds left. It'll carry over into the second or third period unless the Gophers can score. That is Ben Hankinson, the Gopher captain, talking with the linesmen to get the official ruling on it. And the fans approve there.
Listen to me, because he's one that cross-checked the guy started. Okay, that's what happened. Okay, one coming back? No. He started it. He's the instigator. So we get the 2 for the cross-check. They each got 4. Let me tell you something. I'm going to tell you, you guys are the captains. Let me tell you, that was close to being a fight. Now, you guys got to be smarter than that. Okay? The linesmen get in there, stop. I know you get mad and everything else. But you don't want to get thrown out tonight, because if you do, you don't play next week. Right? So tell your guys when we go in there.
All right, so we got 4-4 for 4 minutes.
And then 5
we got the initial going to
Yes, sir.
Yes, sir. Nothing after that coming back?
No, they just, then them 2 guys start punching each other. So we'll go 4.
You know what, I'll tell you what. In my book, Wally, Greg Shepard is a model referee. Right now, he assesses the whole situation and puts it all in perspective and makes sure that it's perfectly clear to everybody.
You know, for all those amateur officials, regardless of the sport that you officiate, take an example from that. You don't have to walk out there and pretend you own the game and control everything that happens. You're not the game. The players are. But when there's difficult situations that need clarification, talk to people in a calm, cool, but controlled manner. Your point can be received very well, and you won't have problems.
15 seconds left to go, and this is the second period. No power play yet. We're going to be 4-on-4 for 4 minutes before the Gopher power play kicks in, barring any further penalties, of course. And this period will wind down with the puck behind the Northern Michigan net. And the Wildcats score the only 2 goals of the game. They're both in this period. One by Tony Szabo, one by Mark Buffet, and they lead 2-0. NCAA pairings coming up in a moment. We'll be back in St. Paul after this.
To all Highland competitors watching me, I have news for you. We're also watching you. Every day Highland is monitoring your prices. So should you attempt to go lower than Highland on any item, one of our undercover agents will see it, using perhaps a pair of these cuff cams. Then, of course, Highland will mark its price down even lower still. So you see, it's pointless to even try to beat Highland. Oh, the tie cars. Shortwave.
Highland, the store that's impossible to beat.
It started here, in a country that's known to know something about beer. There's maybe no region richer in ways to brew beer, including the way all beer used to be brewed, fire brewed.
the way one beer in America still is brewed today. A beer started here more than 200 years ago. Stroh's, fire brewed, family brewed. Some things never change. Some things never should.
He was named Athlete of the Decade for redefining excellence in hockey. Now available for the first time in home video, a collection of the greatest moments of his career. Wayne Gretzky, Above and Beyond.
It was religious for me. I never missed. It was like that was my enjoyment in life.
He wouldn't go around saying, well, I'm the best, I'm going to be the best. But he always just wanted to be the best.
Gretzky, he shoots, he scores!
Twin City Dodge in downtown Ishpeming wishes the Hockey Wildcats the best of luck this weekend. Come on out and see Dick Dunn and Rich Gleason at Twin City Dodge, 330 South Main in Ishpeming. And come on down and cheer the Cats to victory at the Village Pub tonight. The Village Pub, home of the best new pizza in Marquette. That's the Village Pub, North 3rd Street in Marquette.
Dad, what's UP Tax Phone?
Well, Holly, UP Tax Phone is a special line people can call with questions about their taxes. It's a free service we offer here at UP Tax. Someday when you're older, you can answer the tax phone.
Yeah, right, Dad.
If you have a question, we're here to help. Just give us a call at 22 Taxes.
Find the professionals in tax preparation at UP Tax and Accounting.
UP Tax Phone. Just kidding.
Back here at the St. Paul Civic Center, the WCHA champion will be determined in just one more period. The other three leagues have crowned their playoff champions, but now there's another whole tournament set to begin, the NCAA tournament. And joining me to talk about that are a couple members of that committee. And first of all, Bill, if you could, tell us the selection process.
Well, the Division I NCAA Hockey Committee will evaluate material and criteria, one-loss record, strength of schedule of all the Division I teams throughout the year, and then they will select the 12 teams for the championship. And that will include the 4 automatic qualifiers, the 1 independent team, and then 7 teams at large. They will then put them in the bracket, cross-bracketing East and West, establishing the 4 teams with byes, and then the first round and second round will be best 2 out of 3 competition. The semifinals and finals will be single elimination here at the Civic Center.
All right, here are the pairings now for this year's tournament.
Yeah, we're very pleased with this year's tournament and the quality and the caliber of teams that make up this year's tournament. First of all, we have Minnesota hosting Providence College, and Maine receives the first round bye. Then we have Boston College hosting our independent Alaska Anchorage, and Northern Michigan receiving the bye. Then the next round we'll have Michigan hosting Cornell with Boston University receiving a bye. Clarkson will host Wisconsin with Lake Superior State University receiving the bye in the second round.
So it should be a great tournament, and it'll all wrap up here. Are there still tickets available for the NCAA Final Four here at the Civic Center?
Yes, there are. We are very excited to be here in St. Paul this year for the championship, and there are tickets available, and they can contact the University of Minnesota ticket office throughout the remaining 3 weeks prior to the championship.
How tough a selection process was it for you this year? Was it pretty cut and dried?
No, I wouldn't say it was cut and dried. You know, the committee is a wonderful committee, and the integrity of the committee and the work ethic of the committee, long hours and long plane rides and watching a lot of hockey all year. The knowledge that the committee brought to this year's selection was incredible. And I'm just very, very pleased with how the process went and how smoothly it went.
Well, gentlemen, thank you very much. It looks like an exciting field, and it should be a great tournament. And we'll be back with more of our second intermission when we return to St. Paul right after this.
Listen carefully. This man is using an amazing electronic breakthrough that lets him hear a pin drop across the room. It's the Whisper 2000. Gives you the astonishing experience of super hearing. No more embarrassing complaints when you watch TV.
Honey, please, can you turn that down? I can't even think.
Look, adjust the volume for your personal listening. With Whisper 2000, you don't have to turn up the volume or ask anyone to repeat themselves. This state-of-the-art breakthrough lets you adjust volume to hear better than anyone in the room. You can even hear a whisper 100 feet away.
Don't worry, they can't hear me at all.
And pick up sounds you'd never hear. It's hard to hear in the back seat of the car.
I can't hear from back here.
Now sit back, tune in, and talk comfortably.
Can you hear me back there? Loud and clear.
Use Whisper 2000 in theaters and meetings.
Brenda,
Let's have a little quieter up there.
You'll hear every word clearly, comfortably, no matter where you're sitting. Acoustic electronics are so sensitive. Agents use this kind of device for surveillance. Sportsmen and bird watchers use it to hear noises too low for the human ear. The microphone is so sensitive, you can actually hear a whisper 100 feet away.
Then you'll understand better.
Or conversation at another table, disguised as a pocket-type radio. This latest breakthrough in sound amplification allows you to clearly hear anything you choose.
He's so good looking.
Similar high-tech devices sell in fine catalogs for $60 and more. But it's yours on this special TV offer for just $19.95. Order the Whisper 2000 now. Discover for yourself the thrilling experience of super hearing. Have your credit card ready and call now for rush delivery. Here's how to order.
To order, have your credit card ready and call toll-free 1-800-733-9800 or send check or money order for $19.95 plus $4 shipping and handling to Whisper 2000, 4500 American Way, Roanoke, Virginia. But for fastest delivery, use your credit card and call toll-free 1-800-733-9800.
This is a golfer. He'll play anywhere. Golf Digest magazine helps his game anywhere he plays with instructional articles from top pros. So, wherever you play, play better with Golf Digest.
Get a full year of Golf Digest for $19.77. Call 800-453-4300 now and get our free half-hour instructional video with your paid subscription. Call 800-453-4300 now.
Back at the St. Paul Civic Center after 2 periods of play, Northern Michigan out in front of the Minnesota Golden Gophers by a score of 2-0. I'm Jim Rich, and joining me is Jack Parker, head coach of the BU Terriers, who we just saw moments ago in the announcement of the NCAA pairings, has been seeded second in the East, and you will receive a first-round bye. And Jack, that has to be a great pleasure for your team now after a tough Hockey East playoff battle.
Yeah, we had a nice win over Maine in the finals last night, and I guess that really boosted us a little bit. But in general, we're real fortunate to get a bye, and we're looking forward to having a little time to rest the banged-up guys, and we'll see who's going to come into our building.
Now, for the people that don't know the situation out east, Boston College was knocked out by Northeastern in the very first round of the Hockey East playoffs. How big a factor do you think that was in your team securing a first-round bye?
I think it was a factor in that it was a loss in their one-loss record. It was a bigger factor, I think, that our big win against Maine, but also win against Providence really helped our one-loss record and helped our strength of schedule immensely too. So those two things kind of squeaked us by them in the final standings this week, I guess. I was not involved in any of the BU, BC, or Maine discussions. I was just involved in most of the Western discussions and the Providence-Cornell stuff more than anything else.
Now, with the situation in Hockey East, it's been really a topsy-turvy league this year. It seems like one team gets hot, the other gets hot. You have 4 teams making it into the tournament, so that says a lot about the kind of play that has been going on out east. Your team was picked to win it all this year at the start of the season. How is your team playing right now?
I think we're playing up to that preseason billing, I guess. We really struggled early on. We came back and played very well through the months of November and December, and then really struggled again in January. Thought we had a great February winning the Beanpot and really solidified our team and our one-loss record, and now we're right on target, hopefully, to do something big later on this month right here.
Now, as you say, the Final Four will be right here. Are you checking out this building at all on this trip? I know you were here for the NCAA selection committee, but also, what have you noticed about this building?
I noticed Northern Michigan and Minnesota as a free scouting trip, actually. Nothing too different. I've seen the building before. I was out here 2 years ago when Harvard won it and was on the committee then, so I know a little bit about the building, but our team has never played here, so I don't know too much about the ice surface.
Okay, Jack Parker, congratulations on a great season and good luck in the NCAA tournament.
Thank you very much.
Jack Parker with us now. We'll be back more with second period highlights after this.
Listen. Listen carefully. This man is using an amazing electronic breakthrough that lets him hear a pin drop across the room. It's the Whisper 2000. Gives you the astonishing experience of super hearing. No more embarrassing complaints when you watch TV.
Can you turn that down?
With Whisper 2000, you don't have to turn up the volume. It's hard to hear in the backseat of the car. Now, sit back and talk comfortably.
Can you hear me back there?
Loud and clear. Disguised as a pocket-type radio, you can actually hear a whisper across the room.
So good looking.
Use Whisper 2000 in theaters. You'll hear every word clearly, comfortably. Similar devices sell for $60, but it's yours now for just $19.95. Here's how to order.
To order, have your credit card ready and call toll-free 1-800-532-3737 or send check or money order for $19.95 plus $4 shipping and handling to Whisper 2000, 22 American Way, Roanoke, Virginia.
We've only got one chance. Get hooked on sports. It's a habit you can live with.
Sponsored by the National Sporting Goods Association.
If you're having problems controlling your children or keeping yourself from hurting, and you don't know where to turn for help, call Boys Town's hotline. You'll talk to someone who understands and can help you find the help you need. 1-800-448-3000.
EQ Muffler in Marquette says good luck to the Hockey Wildcats. EQ Muffler has served Marquette County for 54 years and is still family-owned. That's EQ Muffler, 250 East Hampton in Marquette. Call 226-2131. And the Marquette Catholic Credit Union wishes the Hockey Wildcats the best of luck. The Marquette Catholic Credit Union has served Marquette for many years and is with the community in cheering the Cats on.
As Kirk and the guys work on their list of 91 reasons to shop Nelson, you can start your own during Nelson's Drive to the Final Four Sellathon. Get cash back, then make your best deal on Olds 88. Check the big value package on specially equipped Cutlass Supremes. Buy any new Olds and get your oil change free for 3 years. Choose from over 35 full-size Chevy 4x4s. Plus, with every purchase, you get the Nelson Commitment Card and a free Ninja Turtle.
Nobody works harder.
Jim Rich and Wally Shaver. This is Frank Mazzacco on the WCHA Championship Network. End of 2 periods of play with the Northern Michigan Wildcats leading the Golden Gophers of Minnesota by a score of 2-0, scoring both goals in that second period, Wally, and seemingly doing it with ease.
Well, Northern Michigan put on a very ferocious attack, and really what they were doing, we have a danger zone area. The net moving out to the 2 face-off dots and then across. It's a rather large box, kind of like the soccer penalty kick area. But Northern Michigan had 10 shots on goal in that period. 7 of them came from that danger zone. Down at the other end of the rink, Minnesota only had 2 shots on goaltender Bill Pye from that area. So what it translates to is Northern Michigan is tying up the Gopher players, keeping the shots to the outside perimeter. Northern Michigan is penetrating that box area and getting shots from in close range. Consequently, they got 2 goals.
First one came relatively early in the period from the freshman Tony Szabo.
And watch as it happens. Here's the face-off. Puck comes across the line. Racing after it. You see coming into the top of the circle. Now to the face-off dot. A backhand pass goes out in front. Bingo. 5 feet away. It's tipped in. Coverage not quite there as Tony Szabo gets free and takes that centering pass from Ward to make it a 1-0 hockey game. And you can see a frustrated Ken Jernander, number 8 for Minnesota. He knew he didn't have his check covered very well. Then the second goal, a little bit different strategy. It was just coming down the right side. Buffet off that 4th line, reached the top of the circle. He had a man out in front, but he elected to go with the shot. But it's just at the face-off circle himself when he lets that thing rip, again, right in that danger zone. And 2-0 for Northern Michigan. That goal coming just a minute and a half left in the period. It's a rather difficult time right now for Minnesota to trail by 2 going into this period. Szabo sniping his 36th of the year, almost a goal a game average, and Buffet with his 18th. Shots in the period, 10-8 in advantage of Northern Michigan. They really stepped it up a notch in that period, and it's going to be another notch ahead for Minnesota to try and get back into this hockey game.
Yeah, particularly considering the fact that while Northern Michigan stepped it up a notch, I think the Gophers stepped it back a notch. So maybe now Minnesota needs to take 2 steps forward in order to catch up to where they were. they certainly do have the offensive talent to be able to score 2 goals in the third period. It's been a difficult job for them, and also a situation they haven't been in very much during the course of the year, trailing going into the third.
Well, and here's the graphic to show that. Unbeaten in 30 times, leading after 2 periods of play. The Gophers, trailing, like most teams, had a difficult time trying to come back from a deficit, but they have pulled out a couple of games. It's even more difficult when you're facing the top defensive team in the league, so the Gophers' work is cut out for them. They do have an advantage, though, because in about 3.5 minutes, they will have a power play opportunity due to those series of minor penalties that were handed out to Doug Smolik of Minnesota and Tony Zabel of Northern Michigan. Zabel picked up 6 minutes in penalty time, Smolik just 4 minutes. So once Smolik's time completes itself, he'll return to the ice, giving Minnesota that power play again in about 3.5 minutes.
It'll be interesting to watch the adjustments in strategy in this, the third period, as we have 2 coaches, Woog and Comley, who deeply respect one another.
Yes.
And I think an example of that is the fact that Doug Woog's son, Steve, has gone up to Northern Michigan to play his Division I hockey.
And it always has to be Daddy to approve of where a kid goes to school. So now Coach Woog has to oppose his son.
Steve not in the lineup and hasn't been for several games. He's just a freshman there, but likely we'll see some regular duty as a hard-working forward for the Wildcats in years to come. Third period just underway at center ice. They play it ahead 4-on-4. Then it's dumped all the way back down by Northern Michigan, and an icing call here with the teams at even strength.
Well, as we had pointed out, some people thinking it might be a meaningless game and an emotional game, but that's hardly the story, as we have seen 3 different incidents tonight where players have gone off together for penalties and a near fight towards the end of the second period. So the emotions are running high with a WCHA playoff championship on the line. We just saw Coach Doug Woog. He has never won the league playoff title in the current format of Final Four competition in the WCHA.
And that format now is in its 4th year. The Wildcats 2 years ago won it. That was back in 1989. But in the first and third years, 88 and 90, the winners were Wisconsin. Last year, the Badgers won it by a score of 7-1 in the championship game, smothering the Gophers. Ooh, quick centering pass here for Plandowski. He just failed to steer it in. Still 4 skaters aside. A pass is chipped away. Craig Johnson was hooked there by Antos. Couldn't come up ice, but there's no penalty. Now Tom Peterson breaking in. The puck hops free. He's taken down as play goes on. It's cleared. It takes a Minnesota hop, but they can't get the puck. 2-on-1. Plandowski and Antos. Antos centering it, and Larry Olam is there to break it up. Olam takes a hard hit on the far boards, and the Gophers get the puck. Now in the middle of a line change, the Wildcats dump it right back into Minnesota territory. Here's Olam now. Ahead to Jeff Nielsen. Nielsen trying to get it past Sukharov. Does. Pops it loose to Brill. Brill slides it across. Johnson shooting. That's broken up and blocked by Pye. Now on the near board, Ward tries to get it out, but he's checked. Nielsen fires one, got too much of that one, and put it up into the stands right near the band.
I rather enjoy watching 4-on-4 hockey because things really open up. That is Brill going off the ice. He said a little bit earlier that the Gophers, the way they are playing, can beat any team in the league and any team anywhere. Right now, his club is trailing by a pair. Olam made a fine defensive play and then paid for it. If we would have seen that roll another few frames, he would have been plastered up along the glass here in the Civic Center.
Larry Olam had a power play goal and an assist yesterday. Here's Klatt. They picked up 2 points on the 3 Minnesota goals. Klatt now forced to the outside by Sukharov. Still 2 minutes away from a power play, and a shot by Richards deflected, I think, out of play. So they'll face it off just inside the blue line.
Billy Pye in the goal. You see the man on the backup is Rob Krulak, who has only played in a few games this year. With the success that Billy Pye has had, Coach Rick Comley right there has obviously been pretty relaxed to go with Billy for the duration of the season. Pye has 4 shutouts on the year. looking for number 5 tonight, and he's only 18 minutes away from that.
From center ice, it's dumped in. And on the near boards, it comes loose to Trent Klatt, who hustles the center. Klatt also had a power play goal and an assist yesterday for Minnesota. Now Chris McAlpine goes after it. He is tied up, knocked down behind the net by Hiller. Hiller, checked by McAlpine, took a bit of a smash to the helmet there, but got away from it. Now Klatt and McAlpine down in front of the Minnesota net. I wonder if he was
dumped
victim
by
of retaliation there.
Jimmy Hiller. McAlpine likes to play a physical game, and I was watching the pair as they broke off, but Hiller got a little extra shot in there. And now Ben Hankinson just came over and threw a bump over to Hiller a little away from our camera location. Let's listen in and see what Greg Shepard might have to say.
This is one of those deals where I look at the fucking clock.
Well, apparently, the linesman...
Two are going. I can't believe anything that bad happened. They were pretty far apart when I looked up. All right, that's Tommy.
Tommy, come here.
I think Mike Tock was saying there that he doesn't believe anything happened to McAlpine.
Chris McAlpine's a tough player. He's not going to fall to the ice and take a delay on his own, especially with the play in his own zone. But he's still down on one knee. I think he's okay. The trainer, Bob Brocksterman, has gone back to the Minnesota bench.
All right, let's go, I think, to the stands this time to find Jim Rich.
Thanks very much. We're here in the middle of the Northern Michigan section, and there's only 300 here, 16,000 fans, but how...
300. Boy, we're at odds here, but the score is 2-0, Northern Michigan University.
Now, I understand you saw the very first Northern Michigan game.
Yes, I was very fortunate to be at the inception of the Northern hockey program. Very fortunate.
And do us your cheer. What gets these fans going?
Well, I don't know if this gets them going, but it's
gotta hurry.
All right, here we go.
Jim Rich ran out of microphone cable, but that guy didn't run out of voice, I'll tell you.
And he did get them going. All 300 are up waving their green and gold.
How can they not see it? I mean, what are they doing? They had no line to call. Okay, that's my problem. They had no line to call, no goals to call.
I asked them we want
I
you.
understand.
One thing new in the WCHA this year, actually in all 4 major college hockey leagues, the referees are allowed to go over and explain to the coaches why they are making the calls that they are. That really helps save a lot of time in these games instead of going to the captain and then back to the head coach.
Travis Richards ripples the outside of the net. Jason Miller blasts one and it goes right through. Gophers came flying in on that rush, perhaps a little irritated that there wasn't a call after McAlpine went down. We didn't see anything, and now offside at the blue line.
And that's precisely what the officials were saying when they got together to huddle and talk it over. They didn't see anything happen. You can't call something you don't see. Even though a guy might be down and hurt, the possibility is that something did happen, but if you don't see it, you can't call it. You're watching Fox 29, KITN TV, flagship station of the WCHA Championships. More great sports action coming up on Fox 29 tomorrow. The Minnesota Timberwolves battle the Chicago Bulls from the Windy City at 7:30. And starting Saturday, the Minnesota Twins are back in action in a preseason matchup against the Boston Red Sox. That's at noon Saturday on Fox 29.
Gophers regrouping in their own end. Oh, then they skate away from the puck. Here's Beatty centering it, and Hiller's shot was right on, and Jeff Stolt was there again. Not only to save the goal, but to save his teammates, who 2 of them abandoned the puck.
This is Scott Beatty, who leads the league in scoring, but he's being tied up by guess who? Number 4, Chris McAlpine, the guy that just went down and was apparently hurt, but not enough to get back into the action. And who knows, maybe he was trying to draw a penalty a little bit earlier, eh?
That's not unheard of.
Especially when there's only 40 seconds left in the Gopher penalty to Smollett, and then Minnesota potentially could have had a 2-man advantage.
All right, here they come up, ice 2-on-2, but they're offside up on the left wing. It was Jason Miller who could not drag his foot far enough back to keep it on the blue line.
Well, we're very happy to have the Prime Sports Network online with us tonight. This game is being seen coast to coast. throughout the United States on the Prime Network. We welcome all of you aboard and hope you're enjoying this exciting college hockey action, which many of you have been witnessing all season long.
Prime also the home of College Hockey USA, where each week you can get a complete update on what's happening in this great game. And that coverage will continue right through the playoffs. Now here's Lou Malone to go back for it. It's rattled free. Miller goes after it. It's knocked loose again. 13 seconds left before the Gophers get a power play. They're down 2-0. Still pretty early in the third, but they need a goal as much as important as it would be on the scoreboard is to give them a boost here in this game to get a little juice going.
That's Doug Smolik ready to come out of the penalty box. The timekeepers and officials in the penalty box area are the other officials who've been assigned to work these series this year by the WCHA, linesman and referee.
A couple of linesmen in each goal judge's box as well.
In a couple of minutes of penalty time will shortly pop up on the board for Tony Zabel, leaving the Minnesota Gophers with a man-power advantage. They're 0 for 2 on power play opportunities tonight, and this is in a critical time for them to try and get something going, Frank, because they need a goal, trying to dent that armor of Billy Pye and just get some confidence of putting something past him, and that could really set the stage for a fantastic finish here. The crowd is generating some excitement with the help of Goldie Gopher down by the penalty box area.
Jernander Klatt up front, Luke Johnson, Travis Richards back on the points, and the Wildcats walk away from the faceoff with the puck as Plandowski shoots it down. A power play for the Gophers, their third of the game. They trail 2-0. Klatt to Jernander at center. Jernander breaking in, going right in on goal, and he was checked well there by Garrett McDonald. Now on the far boards, the puck comes loose as Klatt tangles up with Antos. Warenka tries to clear, and then Plandowski rattles it to center. Here's Luke Johnson to get it. Out at center, it's tipped deep into the zone by Olo. Jernander ties up with Sukharov. Warenka reaching for the loose puck. Here's Jernander, and he's covered. It comes loose to Klatt. They'll set up on a power play at center, but deflected away. Olam dumped in the corner. Jernander pasted to the boards, and the puck cleared out of the zone.
Fine job by Northern Michigan to kill it off. They're attacking the Gophers aggressively with Minnesota holding a man-power advantage and just not letting them make any passes in the zone.
Here's Ben Hankinson tipping it to Grant Bischoff, who gets it in, tried to poke it ahead, but he was checked, and it's cleared right back out. Now 45 on the power play. Craig Johnson goes after it, and Ward takes him to the wall. Wide! And here's Luke Johnson now. Here's Ben Hankinson. Hankinson slides it ahead for Peterson, but he was covered. Now Bischoff to Hankinson. He slides it across. Smolik dumping it in deep. That's broken up. Hops to the board. Cleared. Blocked by Smolik. Hankinson dumps it in deep. Now Craig Johnson is checked and centered it. And it's taken away by the Wildcats. To center, Mark Buffet. What a weekend he's having, and then finally lost control of the puck. Mark Buffet with 2 goals and 2 assists for this tournament. 1 goal here tonight. Frederick from center dumping it back in, and the penalty to Zabo is over. We're 5 skaters aside. Long shot by Hillary, fanned on it. Now Hankinson reaching for the puck at center. They get it to the Wildcat line. Bischoff battles to get it in. He's taken to the outside by Simpson. Now Brill fires it in front for Pell. He was covered. And a whistle as Bill Pye holds on to the puck. 6 minutes into the third period. We'll take a break with the Wildcats up by 2.
So much has gone into the design of Soloflex. Years of refinement, the finest materials, the strongest, most dependable steel, the sleekest, most efficient form. Building in value at every step of design and construction. We know those of you who use Soloflex take pride in your bodies. And at Soloflex, we take pride in knowing that. For a free brochure, call anytime.
There's John Brill talking to linesman Mike Tock about the state of affairs little repair to the glass. The pane came loose on the last check over there, so they're going to fix that for a moment. You know, as we were talking about the folks watching us across this country, Wally, you know, it's amazing when you think about that Armed Forces television network. Not only the folks in Saudi Arabia watching us, but the Philippines, Japan, throughout Europe. A great network of stations to watch.
And also the diplomatic channel is carrying it to all the U.S. embassies around the world into 130 different countries. Welcome aboard. We hope you're enjoying tremendous college action.
And if it's the middle of the night where they are, maybe they got a VCR rolling. We can hope. All right, from center, it's flipped in by Warenka. 5 skaters aside. Northern Michigan 2, Minnesota nothing. Yeah, now Muller was spun around and put down. There'll be an interference call. And another power play chance. This one called on Scott Beatty. He knows it.
And that was a bad penalty for Beatty to take.
17 white interference.
Because they go for players deep in his own zone. Beatty is putting on the forechecking pressure. So what if the guy gets by him right there? There's still a lot of players back to help out. But Beatty goes, not allowing. They go for player Muller to get to the puck. So Minnesota goes back under the power play. They need to get something mounted here soon, trailing by 2 with 13.5 minutes to go in the period. Rick Comley is the 14th all-time winningest college hockey coach. He's in his 15th year at Northern Michigan University after he spent 3 years at Lake Superior State.
Well, the fan who was in the stands there saying he watched the first Northern Michigan game, watched it when Rick Comley coached it because he started the program.
That's right.
Here's Larry Olam firing a goal! Larry Olam, leading scorer for the Gophers, makes it 2-1. Boy, do they need that.
And that took only 16 seconds after the power play. Larry Olam, scorching one. He began the year as a defenseman, but the Gophers were short of forwards and strong on defense. He came across the line, let the screen set up in front, and just blew a shot past Billy Pye. Well executed. Larry Olam is so good with the puck, knows just exactly how long to hang on to it, and he unloaded that while the screen was set up in front of Billy Pye. 2-1 now. Minnesota back in the hockey game, and the guy out of small town War Road, Minnesota, has done the damage.
Time of the goal is 6 minutes, 34 seconds on the power play. His 18th of the year, 5 of those on power play. Now here's Bischoff, and it's swept away. Back to center comes Drake. 3-on-3, they bring it in. Right wing pass. That one hits mask again of Jeff Stope, and that has him stunned.
From Trainer.
Took it on the left side. You can see him holding his head.
Geez, he's got to be getting a little puck shy now after three shots to the head in 2 games. Jeff Stope, we pointed out, took a shot right smack in the middle of the helmet last week. The force was so hard. You see the screws holding the mask on? The screws actually went through a half-inch of padding and cut him open last week. He took a shot earlier in this game, and now this one glances off the right side of the helmet, and that has him stunned. He's a little woozy as he tries to get back to his feet. And the first thing Bob Broxteman is doing is just making sure he's conscious.
This is Sergeant George Gubko out here at the St. Paul Civic Center. I'm a recruiter out of Twin Cities, Minnesota.
Hi, I'm Dan Fouts, and here's a great gift idea. For only $26.95, you'll receive a high-quality T-shirt and hat with your favorite university's 2-color logo. Money from your order of this officially licensed merchandise will benefit your school and its athletic program. So for only $26.95, you can show your school spirit and help support your favorite university. Here's how to order.
Call toll-free 1-800-632-3800. Add shipping and handling charges. 1-800-632-3800.
Then it's fired, but it comes off a skate. Right side, Hankinson, his shot is wide of the target. Buffet tries to get it out, and Miller goes back for the puck. Miller in front of his own net. to center. Jason Miller on a scoring tear for the Gophers, but he had it swept away. Jason has scored 7 goals in the last 5 games. Now Stope playing it around. Hankinson to McAlpine. It's taken away from McAlpine by Zabo on the near boards. And here's McAlpine again. Center ice, Corey Leyland dumping it in. Gophers making a line change on the run. McDonald behind the net. Now to Warenka. He's hit hard by Bischoff and lost his stick. So he kicks it around to the far side. Broken up by Nielsen. Back in deep. Here's Buffet shooting it around. Blocked by Luke Johnson, the defenseman, is in deep. Buffet clears. Kept in at the line. A nice play by Nielsen. Not only a nice play, but he covered well for Luke Johnson, who went in deep. And now it's flipped back out at center. Here's Johnson to get the puck. Out to Grant Bischoff. Racing it ahead. Here's Nielsen. He's hammered to the upright support. We get a whistle.
Right at the whistle. Right at the whistle.
There was some hits at the whistle. That's what Shepard is saying. I don't know if he's going to mete out a penalty here or not. But boy, there was some heavy bumping.
Right at the whistle. Perfect.
And what he's saying is it happened right at the whistle. So there isn't a hit after the whistle, which would be a penalty. Watch this as Nielsen gets clobbered right into the penalty box area. And then the second hit came right as the whistle was blown on the offside play. So no penalties are being called. There's the first hit. And the second one will come right after, watch right here, as Bischoff had already crossed the line and pow! Whoa. He's flattened on a hard jolt by Dave Shayak.
Now Luke Johnson back to get the puck in his own end. 2-1 hockey game, 11 and a half to go in regulation. Northern Michigan leads Minnesota at the line. Here's Carpenter with a shot. That ripples the outside of the net. It's centered off a skated flat. Frederick's shot goes behind the net. And a whistle.
That's a hold.
It's a hold, and Luke Johnson's upset.
Luke Johnson had Frederick all tied up in front of the goal, Frank, dumping him to the ice. Make that Plandowski, and he just maintained a good hold and grasp on him. And Luke Johnson's not happy with that penalty call, but Greg Shepard had watched it all the way. Coach Doug Woog, butterflying it off.
Yeah, I think what he's upset about is that there's plenty of clutch and grab on both ends here tonight, and now all of a sudden one gets called. Well, Shepard rules that this one is called because it happens in front of the net.
Actually, it was because of that the rebound attempt right here. Now watch, there's the first shot. Turning and firing, but out in front, Frederick, number 15, is hauled down. Now here's another try, and who's it hit? Frederick. If Frederick is not held and put to the ice, the shot would have gone through on target. And that's probably why he called it, because it definitely took away a scoring chance.
So Luke Johnson, a defenseman for the Gophers, goes off, wiping some of the condensation from the inside of the net.
Okay, next time it's a timeout. I told the captains before the game what I was going to do. Okay? Okay, thank you very much.
All right, the warning is, let's get to the face-off spot.
Quit stalling.
Quit stalling. Next time you do it, it's going to be a delay game. Oh, no, timeout.
Timeout.
Timeout first, and then the next time it happens, it'll be a delay of game penalty.
Each team in hockey is allowed only one timeout during the game, so it can be costly.
11:15 in regulation. Shepard wants him to drop the puck. The draw to Warenka. He dumps it in deep. Power play for the Wildcats. They're up by 1. A couple of whacks there thrown by Doug Smolik. Beatty. They jam up. Warenka takes it to the middle. Fired it across for Scott. Scott dumps it in deep. Boy, this is a hang-on third period, I'll tell you. Beatty firing, that's deflected, knocked down by Smolik, clear to the line, not out. Warenka then inadvertently clears the zone. Out of clutch and grab right now in front of the Minnesota net. Here's Ben Hankinson popping it into the corner. Warenka from behind. 1:20 on the Wildcat power play. Flips it up right side. Here's Hiller breaking in, rolling puck. He shoots right on. And a save made there by Jeff Stolp.
Jeff Stolp had some fine help from his defense, who forced the player to stay to the outside. That was Travis Richards. Watch Richards as he'll come across here, trying to make sure that Scott doesn't get in too close. And by sliding out to block the shot, Stolp knows that he's got a pretty good chance of blocking it by cutting down the angle, moving to his left. Play will stay in the Minnesota zone in the draw. Just over a minute left in the penalty time to Minnesota's Luke Johnson.
So Craig Johnson, number 13, is ready for the faceoff. And he will go against the crafty veteran Dean Antos in his senior year from Viking, Alberta. And they're both waiting. So it's Bischoff against Buffet. Strahd is able. Malone at the line. Now to the corner again. A rifle it in front of Buffet and a sprawling save by Stolp. He has been magnificent.
Buffet never got all the wood on that one. He kind of shanked it, and it dribbled off the heel of his stick right into the equipment of a sliding Jeff Stolp. Watch the pass across. This is a fine play. As they work it down low, you see the look from the player. He went right out in front with a look, put it out in front to Buffet, but it's off the heel of his stick and made it pretty easy for Stolper. Nice pass. Boy, is that threading it around and moving it around really quick. Northern Michigan, a tough and very effective power play during the course of the regular season.
Zucroft with a minute on the power play, fires a goal. Stolp got a piece of it, I think, but it deflected high into the net. And now a 3-1 Northern Michigan lead.
Phil Sukharov with a shot. Comes at 9:51. And power plays have been the answer here in this period. Each team striking once with the manpower advantage. Watch as they set it up back to the point. Antos will win the draw, kicking it loose. He is so effective at doing that. One of the best centermen in the league at winning faceoffs. Sukharov sidesteps one, check, lets it go. I think it's his shot all the way that gets past Jeff Stolp. Watch it all the way to the net. Doesn't touch a soul. 5-hole shot between the legs of Jeff Stolp, and Phil Sukharov has his 5th goal of the year, and what a key one that is.
Antos will get the lone assist, 9:51, the time of the goal, and a 3-1 lead. 5 skaters aside, exactly 10 minutes to go in regulation. The Gophers again need 2 to tie. They flip it in. Here's McDonald, taken away by Clapper right there to pick it up as Antos. They lead it ahead on the near side. Ed Ward open, left wing, moving in, shooting. A nice save by Jeff Stolp, and he holds on.
Well, Ed Ward had a chance here to just bury the Gophers, but he couldn't put it away, so Minnesota stays in the game and comes up with a huge save from Stolper. Jeff needing to make the stop when he has to with the game on the line. Ward coming in. He's a big guy, too, 6'3", 200 pounds, and then he follows it up and crashes right into Jeff Stolp. That can tire you down a lot, too. Fine shot by Ward. He had the decoy and the 2-on-1 to his right, but he elected to go with a shot. Still 3-1. Northern Michigan leading the Gophers. 9.5 minutes to go. Minnesota needs some offense.
Now here's Chris McAlpine. Slides it ahead. Muller trying to tip it out. Now picked up by Brill. Looking for some open space, but boy, everybody is back to cover. Has Northern Michigan had anybody out of position tonight at all?
A couple of times they have, but haven't been burnt on it. But they're going to really tighten up defensively now as we take this 2-goal lead down to the last few minutes. I don't expect we're going to see Northern Michigan apply too much forechecking pressure down in the Gopher end. They'll probably just send one guy in, keep the other 2 forwards back a little bit to read which way the play is going to go. And the key now is just pick up the checks all the way back. Don't leave a man loose. And for crying out loud, don't make any mistakes on your coverage patterns. That's what Rick Comley has emphasized all season long. He's got his team just playing to perfection. Keep in mind, folks, that Northern Michigan came into this game tonight just on a roll and a half. What is it?
21 games.
21 games. They haven't lost a game since Christmas. What a gift that was.
And only have lost 2 since Thanksgiving. And those 2 were to St. Cloud State in a rather surprising couple of wins. And that apparently developed a pretty good message for the Wildcats. We'll take a break and be right back.
The Penobscot River and Old Milwaukee both mean something great to these guys. The Penobscot means hard, charging white water. And Old Milwaukee means a great beer. Cold, crisp Old Milwaukee beer and smooth golden Old Milwaukee Light.
There's nothing like the flavor of a special place. Old Milwaukee beer.
Through that trough, we hit the top of the wave and slammed
Old Milwaukee and Old Milwaukee Light.
It just doesn't get any better than that.
You got that right.
Tom Peterson goes into the penalty box for interference at 11:02 of the period. So now, with the clock against Minnesota and the scoreboard not helping out, they go shorthanded for the 4th time in the hockey game against a Northern Michigan power play unit that is 1 for 3 on the tilt so far.
2 goals down, 9 minutes to go.
Give them their timeout.
And now he is just...
We got white timeout. Go tell them.
What? A commercial.
I don't care.
All right, Shepard doesn't care. Timeout.
And it's not that they take the timeout, it was enforced. He had the warning earlier. You heard it from Shepard. And this time, Rick Comley tried to make one more change and stall things a little bit. Shepard didn't buy it. Timeout. All Conley's going to do right now is just talk, caution his team. Don't get hurt defensively. Don't get out of position. Work the puck around to the perimeter. Set up the power play the way you have to right now. And just kill some time. Gophers going to have to be a little bit more aggressive. They like to play an aggressive penalty kill and expect them to go at the man with the puck quite vigorously here and maybe try to spring somebody loose. Both these teams have had good success shorthanded this year at scoring goals. Northern Michigan ranking 1 in the league in that department, but Minnesota has had their fair share of shorthanded goals too.
We've talked a bit about the NCAA tournament, so for the folks in Marquette and in the Twin Cities, we've got a little ticket information for you. First in the Twin Cities, next weekend, the Gophers will open at home Friday, Saturday, and if necessary on Sunday against Providence. And tickets for that series, we are told, will go on sale Wednesday. They'll be available through Ticketmaster. So tickets in Minneapolis on Wednesday. We'll give you ticket information for Marquette in just a moment. They will have next week off, so you'll have a little extra time to buy your Wildcat tickets. Season ticket holders will be able to pick up tickets starting on Tuesday through Friday of this week in Marquette at the Cohotus building. And then regular over-the-counter purchases for tickets in Marquette will begin a week from Tuesday. So that's it on the ticket information. Another 90 seconds of Wildcat power play as it's shot all the way down by Northern Michigan. Icing is called.
During the regular season, in the 4 meetings between these two clubs, Northern Michigan was able to score a goal in each of those contests while with the man advantage. Recently, it has been down a little bit. One thing interesting about Northern Michigan, the shots on goal in this game are even. Northern has been outshot only 6 times in their 42 games this year, and only once since mid-December. Rather ironic how that ties in with an undefeated stretch during that time.
You bet. Jason Miller for the Gophers ready to face off. Dean Antos for the Wildcats, and now a bit of a delay while one of the linesmen was over at the bench for a quick repair, and we're all right. Yeah, now they jump in the circle too soon. Now we're ready. I'm ready.
Drop it.
And from the draw, it's batted away by the Wildcats. They have the man advantage. Back behind the net, Miller knocked down. Here's Jernander to pick up the puck. And he'll dump it in. Here's Miller, who scored shorthanded last night. Now to McAlpine. A screen shot, never reached the net. Now Jernander. Miller. Far point, Smolik. Slap shot. Pye the save, and he holds on. No rebound there. He covered up well.
Very good pressure by the Gophers while shorthanded a man.
You got to move the puck around in a hurry if you're going to do that, and they did.
They did exactly. Here is the Miller. He's down low. Everybody coming after him, so the points are wide open. He throws it back for the shot. Look where Pye is again. We pointed out so much, but he really comes out a lot to play those long shots. way out there cutting down the angle. You can't give up rebounds if you're going to play that kind of hockey.
1:01 left on the penalty to Peterson. 8 minutes to go in the third period. And the Wildcats control from the faceoff. Shots virtually dead even, 24-23 in favor of Minnesota. Wildcats, however, lead by 2. It's 3-1. Here's Lou Malone back in his own end. Northern doesn't really need a goal right now, though that would help, so they're cautious as they bring it in. Rush broken up by Richards and cleared out by Luke Johnson. Sukroff back to get it. 30 on the Wildcat power play. Luke Johnson with an interception at center. He flipped it in, and Sukroff has it. To Buffet, and Buffet dumps it in. Now Richards goes after the puck. It takes a hop off the far boards. It's centered to Buffet. He bats it in front. And the Gophers working out the center to speedy Grant Bischoff. Bischoff trying to get in, but puck was swept away, and here's Warenka. Long lead to Szabo at center, then he just rattles it all the way down for a line change as the penalty to Tom Peterson is over. On the boards, here's Chris McAlpine. Peterson will head to the bench for a line change, or for a quick change after coming out of the box. Right through the goal mouth. Nielsen on the boards, playing it to the point. Smolik waits, pops it towards the net, but it's deflected behind. Warenka has it. He's hooked a bit, but gets it to center. McAlpine ahead to Nielsen, trying to thread his way through. Here's Craig Johnson going in deep, and the coverage again in front of the net is incredibly great by Northern Michigan. There were no passing lanes open. Finally, it's dumped down, and an icing call against the Wildcats.
It wasn't made any easier by the Gophers either, because they had a player back at the bench going for a change. Nobody was coming off and getting into the zone, so a little delay there. Wasn't much Craig Johnson could do.
Let's go down to Jim Rich right now, is at ice level.
Thanks very much. And Jimmy, you were a WCHA defenseman for the Bulldogs. How has this league changed since you played?
Well, I don't know. It's sure exciting. I'm enjoying it. I haven't seen it for a while. I've been in Pittsburgh and been away from the college scene, but it's been fun. It's fast-paced. It's exciting hockey, and that's what I come to see.
Now, more and more NHLers are coming from the college ranks. Does that surprise you at all?
Well, I don't think so. I think a lot of guys are looking at the education part of it and getting their work on ground there.
Frank Platt has just scored for the Gophers to pull them within 1. We appreciate the comments from the new North Star, Jim Johnson, but a big goal by Trent Platt, who scores his second of the tournament and 16th of the year.
Slight breakdown by Northern Michigan in the neutral zone, and they got caught 3-on-2. Gophers come across, a long pass through everybody. Trent has a man in front, but Pye seems to go down a tad early. And boy, is there a top shelf in that apartment building.
Whoa, where was Pye going? He looked like he was going to try to dive out to get the puck, but never really went to it. And Klatt just rifled it in.
No question on that one. Gophers right back in the game. Hang on. Just about 6 minutes left, and the Gophers trail by only a goal. Trent Klatt, who participated with the U.S. junior team this past year and in a tournament where they put together their best finish ever, coming up with a silver medal in that competition.
Dumped to the Minnesota line. That was broken up by the Gopher defense. Now it's knocked down by Muller. Tom Peterson goes after it. Long shot blocked by Pye. And a loose puck hits the outside of the net. Frederick's pass is deflected by Olam. Blocked by Muller. He tips it into Jernander. Jernander weaving in, centering it. At the line, here's Muller. And a diving play to knock it away by Frederick. Clear to the far boards, Olam. Collides with Klandowski. Here's Muller rushing the puck. Got it to the line, but it's shot right back out. And Malone plays it to Sukroff on the near side. 5 left in regulation, and a pad save made by Soap, and he covers up with Ward coming right in.
Well, the atmosphere in this building has really picked up. Standing ovation now for the Minnesota Gophers. As Billy Pye makes a mistake, so do his teammates at center ice, and the Gophers are back in the hockey game, and they came roaring back. A long shot on goal. Pye controls it quite well, but almost coughed it up to Trent Platt on his clearing effort. Watch. We've talked about the fact he has some problems with rebounds, and here he's almost beaten to it by Trent Platt breaking to the net in a hurried fashion.
Ken Jernander gets an assist, his second of the night, his third of the tournament. And for Jernander, 24 points in the last 16 games. Now under 5 minutes in regulation, the Gophers need one to tie. It's knocked ahead by Miller and controlled now by Wawrinka. Back to the Minnesota line. Luke Johnson. Far side is played ahead by Richards and dumped all the way down, but an icing call.
So back we come into the Minnesota zone for the face-off. Face-offs now becoming quite more critical when they're in your own end of the building. Two goaltenders have been sharp. Billy Pye, first-team All-Star. And Jeff Stolp on your left, who was omitted from that, even though he did post the best goals against average during league play. Jeff says it doesn't bother him. He just wants to win this tournament.
Malone fires. That's broken up by Craig Johnson. Hiller in the corner had it for a moment. Now Kevin Scott tipped it free. Here's Doug Smolik playing it ahead. Breaking at center is Nielsen. They don't get it to him. Bischoff carries it in instead. Tries to pop it in front, but that was broken up by Sukharov. Wildcat clear, blocked by McAlpine, flipped it in the slot. Malone goes to get it, fires it out of the zone. Smolik being chased by Beatty. Now Bischoff at center. Finds Jeff Nielsen. Pulled the trigger, but then came back, and now his shot is deflected, and it goes up out of play.
Jeff Nielsen, that was a good fake. He's got the speed to go on the outside, and the freshman out of Grand Rapids, Minnesota, has shown a tremendous effort this season. I think he surprised a lot of people in how well he has adjusted to this league. It's a fast skating league, but he really comes in as a hard-nosed player, not afraid to go up against the corner boards, and he's really quite willing to take on anybody of any size. He has thrown some resounding checks throughout the course of this year.
Face-off will be to the left of Bill Pye. Well, as you suspected or speculated, could have a real barn burner of a finish here.
Well, these are two good teams, and they played a very good championship game here tonight. I expected we'd see a one-goal hockey game, and it's precisely where we're at right now.
Well, these two teams, as Jim Rich told you, each had a win during the regular season. 2 games ended in a tie, and they scored the exact same number of goals. Not much separating. They finished the year with 5 losses for Northern Michigan, 6 losses for the Gophers. Very close. Platt centers it. It's batted right away by Plantowski. Now Jernander. He's taken to the corner. Platt. He's tied up. This is the line that's been doing most of the scoring for Minnesota. Tom Peterson comes in deep. Now Olam is on the far boards. And it slides back out at center. Mike Muller back to get it. Gophers doing some juggling and changing. Muller had started as a forward in this game, but now playing on defense with Peterson, perhaps in place of Sean Fabian, who I haven't seen in a while. Now here's a steal in front of the net. Zabel was there, but Stolp with a big play to knock it away. Loose in the corner to Peterson. Muller behind the net. Fires the pass to center for Olam. Now Hankinson, he battles to get in. Fires off the goal post from 50 feet. Hankinson rattles one off the pipe, and the puck goes out of play.
Oh, did he ever play that well, too? The Gophers know that what they want to do is try to get somebody to take a longer shot and then have the forwards crash the net for rebounds or a tip-in, because Pye likes to play so high. You see the two forwards getting up? There's a little seam in the defense there. Hankinson just slowed up and uncorked the scorcher, but it hits the pipe and moves off to the right.
How about the big goalie play at the other end by Stolp?
Watch his stick. Boom. Stabs it off. Very fine play by Jeff Stolp to break up a dangerous Tony Zabel.
Under 3 to go in regulation. And they apparently have a little trouble getting this face-off going again.
Guys! Stay out. Get out of there. Get out of there. Oh, yeah. Stay right there. That's good. That's good.
Referee Greg Shepard won't buy that one. From the draw, Hankinson rolls it across the goal mouth. Launched high in the air, it comes down at the Minnesota line, and Richards goes after it. Takes the hit in the corner, but delivered the pass to Miller, who was tripped up. Richards, nice play to get at the center. Now it's brought in by Brill. Brill got free, then lost the puck, and it's cleared back out to center ice. Gophers at their own line. Tipped ahead by Hankinson, broken up by Zabo, intercepted by Johnson, and now Smolik turns back to get the puck. 2:12 to go in regulation. Luke Johnson ahead to Craig Johnson. Cuts in, and then he was checked as his shot goes into the corner. Malone to Scott, off a skate, and then dumped into the Minnesota end by Beatty.
Gophers are really skating well right now. They know they have to go all out. They trail by a goal, and they're working very effectively.
Under 2 minutes in regulation, Craig Johnson at center. Came to the line, then had to turn back. They'd have been offside. Johnson again. Carries it in. Trying to get around Warenka, but that's a tough job, and he's taken down. Beatty knocks it around. It's still loose on the boards. Platt trying to get it in front of the net. Warenka is held up by Platt. Now starts to move it up ice. Took a whack from Platt, but gets it to center. Here's Scott, one man back. Fires right on, and it's blocked by Stope. The rebound is pushed wide by Scott. Whoa, the Gophers got lucky there. Buffet centers, and Antos could not tee it up. It's cleared away. Antos in the corner, centering pass. That's intercepted by Muller, and the Gophers break to center. Big check thrown into Olin by Landowski. Here's Bischoff. He's hauled down. There'll be a penalty with a minute to go in regulation. What a finish we're in for here.
And going off will be defenseman Garrett McDonald, just a freshman, and he takes a penalty at a very costly time. But the Gophers had some problems back in their own zone. Young defenseman Mike Muller was back. The long shot's on goal. Mike picks up the puck. Tries to anyways. And it created a bouncing play here. Everybody going past it, so its second try was made by Kevin Scott. Then Muller had another problem, but not picking up behind. Sent it out in front, and Antos almost had a tremendous scoring chance. But Stope took it away. Gophers rushed right back, and then look at right here, the trip. So McDonald goes off, and he's infuriated by the penalty call late in the game. And there was no question about it, so just 57 seconds remain. The Gophers will have the manpower advantage. The faceoff will come down in the northern Michigan zone, and goaltender Jeff Stope will likely be pulled out of the Minnesota nets so that Minnesota can go with a sixth attacker.
Well, wherever you're watching this game tonight, we hope you're enjoying it. It's just about everything we thought it would be. Here's that last save by Jeff Stope. A bit of a riser. He had a little trouble with it. And then the rebound there goes wide.
So now Minnesota is setting up their strategy. What seems to have worked well for them is to get the puck back to the point, work it down low, and then fire it back to the point to take the shot and get everybody going towards the net. That's what I look to happen. Rick Comley, on the other hand, is telling his troops, just keep that box formation and make sure you keep those guys to the outside. Don't let them get inside.
Gophers are 1 for 4 on the power play tonight. It was scored by Larry Ola. That was Minnesota's first goal of the game. They got another from Trent Klatt about 5 minutes ago to bring them within 1. Zabo, Buffet, and Sukarov have scored for the Wildcats. That's the empty Minnesota net. They've already pulled Stope. They'll have 6 skaters to Northern Michigan's 4. There's the time remaining. There's the score. It's the championship game. Fans are on their feet, and the Wildcats trying to slow things down a bit as Landowski decides he needs a new stick. Showed the bad one to the referee, Shepard. And Shepard said, yes, indeed, that's a bad stick. You can go get another one. Funny he didn't spot the bad stick before he left the bench. Now, from the draw, Muller keeps it in. High slot shooting. That's knocked down by Super or by Wawrinka. They lead it to center, an open net and a goal. And the Wildcats will salt away this victory in the championship game of the WCHA for 1991. A 2-goal lead with 47 seconds left is going to be a mighty top order for Minnesota.
300 Wildcat fans are going crazy, but watch as they try to clear it up the middle. Muller does a fine job in blocking it, but his shot goes right into traffic of Brad Wawrinka. It's all over there, folks. Passing it on up to Plandowski, and his long shot into an empty net is an easy one.
Now power play will continue for Minnesota. With 47 seconds left in regulation, the faceoff will be coming up at center, and they've already pulled Stope. They're down by 2, so they're going to continue to go with the 6 men. Klatt wants to shuffle the lineup a little bit. And from the draw, the puck goes into the Northern Michigan end. Wawrinka drives it, but not out. Here's Peterson firing. That's blockages again. And a save by Pye. Behind the net, here's Olam centering it. Klatt a one-timer. That's kicked away by Pye. He played it beautifully to the corner. That's the time remaining, 30 seconds left. Now Muller, the lone Gopher, back to get the puck to Hankinson. His pass is deflected. Antos is tied up. Peterson shot it in. Malone shoots it all the way down. No icing because Northern Michigan's shorthanded. Hankinson. Precious seconds left. Muller to the line. Fires. Pye kicks it away to the crowd with 6 seconds remaining.
We're 7 seconds away from or 6 seconds away from a good celebration. Wildcats beginning to enjoy the fruits of a very tough season, but an extremely successful one for them. And Rick Comley on the verge of capturing his first playoff title in the WCHA. He is the only coach, his second playoff title, thank you. But he is the only coach to capture regular season championships in both the Central Collegiate Hockey Association and the WCHA. Northern Michigan used to play in the CCHA until 1985 when they left that league to join the WCHA.
So since he has entered the league, as Wally mentioned, he won the championship in '89. They won a regular back in '89 and now win it again here in 1991. Regular season and playoff champions of the Western Collegiate Hockey Association, the Wildcats from Northern Michigan, will be back with the celebration right after this timeout.
With a full-size sedan like this, power for effortless passing and on-ramp merging is a necessity. Caprice doesn't scrimp in this department. Well, it doesn't scrimp in efficiency either, with the highest highway mileage of any V8 in its class.
The more I tested it, I knew nothing was going to stop this car except its anti-lock brakes.
Chevrolet Caprice Classic is Motor Trend Car of the Year.
When you can win over attitudes like ours with a car like this, it's got to be good. This one is terrific.
Still be worth every minute. But in Alabama, you'll find one surprise after another. Enough surprises to fill a vacation. Enough memories to last a lifetime. For your free book of surprises, call us toll-free right now. Alabama. Special moments you want to keep forever.
Well, the euphoria has wound off here. A small but lively contingent from Marquette, Michigan, to celebrate with their band this 4-2 victory by the Wildcats over the Golden Gophers in this championship game, giving them both the regular season title and the playoff championship title for this year. Truly a deserving team. What a great game by two terrific teams, truly deserving to be in the final game.
Well, basically it was a one-goal game. You can't count those empty netters, but it was the kind of game we expected. It had a very good, fast tempo to it. The body checking was hard and furious and serious. And the best team, I think, came out on top because Northern Michigan has proved it pretty much all season long. Unfortunately for the Gophers, it's the third time in 4 years that they've been in this championship game, and they've yet to take home the hardware.
Well, they will, of course, be setting their sights on an NCAA title as they get back into action next week. But the title tonight earned for the Wildcats comes with the help of a power play goal that turned out to be the game winner, and it was scored by Phil Sukharoff.
That was a nice play, too, because down in the zone, Dean Antos is so good at the draw, very good with his skates. You see how he kicked the puck loose, got it back to the point, and Sukharoff just let her rip. We've mentioned a couple times during the telecast how important it is to win those faceoffs in their own zone. But when you've got a guy like Antos who is so good on the draw, you put him out there in the key situations, he gets a lot of special team use just because of that. He can win the draw. When you get the puck, you control it. You can do what you want then.
Daryl Plandowski got that empty net goal for the extra margin of victory cushion with the assist to Warenka as Rick Comley celebrates this one. One of the classiest coaches you'll ever meet anywhere. Always great guy to talk to because you get a straight answer. There's Steve Woog on the right, the coach, son of Coach Doug Woog, just skated by. Ceremonies at center ice to present them with the championship trophy, and has been for quite some time in the WCHA. We'll take a very quick break and then be back with more comments from downstairs too right after this.
The first ever three-part Pro Wrestling Hall of Fame Collector's Series is now available through this amazing TV offer. Buy one or all three at the special introductory price of $29.95 each and receive the hilarious blooper tape of the 70s for only $19.95. Add $4 shipping and handling for each order. If you like to gorge on wrestling, here's your emotional feast. The first ever Hall of Fame Collector's Series. The best of the 70s. Yours to own forever. It's all original. Bloody matches, exciting profiles, off-the-wall studio stunts. Order one or all three for $29.95 each, and the blooper tape is yours for only $19.95. Add $4 shipping and handling. For fast delivery, order by number. Number 1, Blood Battles. Number 2, Cage Madness. Number 3, Monsters. For the action high of your life, order now. Order one or all three for only $29.95 each, and you get the wild and crazy blooper tape for only $19.95. Add $4 shipping and handling. Operators are waiting for your call, so call now. If the line is busy, call back. Write the number down. Order your excitement now. If the line is busy, call back.
Here's how to order your Professional Wrestling Hall of Fame Classics Collector Series. Call 1-800-424-5800. Write the number down and order your excitement now. Call 1-800-424-5800. If the line is busy, call back.
What's next?
Presentations are being made out at center ice here after the championship game victory by the Northern Michigan Wildcats by a score of 4-2 over the Golden Gophers. We also have our honors to be handed out to a very special player of this hockey game, our Pennzoil Super America player of the game. That's he, Brad Warenka.
Brad has just had a sensational playoff, just as he's had an outstanding year, making the first team all-star selection here in the league, also student athlete of the year. He culminated it with an outstanding series here, the victory last night over North Dakota, and a superb performance here tonight. He is so steady, so good. A great playmaker, picks up his share of points, but how many times do we see him blocking shots and breaking up plays in front of the Northern Michigan goal tonight? That's a big reason why that team has been as successful as they have been.
And as a Hobie Baker candidate, he certainly is a deserving candidate in that august body of 10 select collegiate players to be considered and to be named here at St. Paul at the end of March. 4-2 was our final score. Making presentations there for the all-tournament team, I believe. Pye would be named among them, and hopefully we'll be able to get some information on that to you very soon. Pye, the all-tournament goaltender. The forwards are Greg Johnson of UND, Mark Buffet of Northern Michigan, and Larry Olam for the Gophers as an all-tournament forward. Sean Hill from Wisconsin, Warenka are the defensemen, and actually it's Jeff Stolt who is named the all-tournament goaltender and the all-tournament MVP, Bill Pye of Northern Michigan. So both goaltenders share in those honors. That's it from the Civic Center in St. Paul. For Jim Rich and Wally Shaver, this is Frank Mazzacco. Good night, everybody.